Hello and welcome to Redshirt Cinema Club, a podcast about fandom and watching things with friends. This week we're watching the film I was desperate to see as a 7-year-old, but my mum wouldn't let me. Jurassic Park, Steven Spielberg's 1993 classic that reinvented movie special effects and redefined the notion of the summer blockbuster. It's the film we've collectively seen more than any other, and one we quote on a daily basis. So without further ado, hold on to your butts. Nathan Dighton, my dear David Jackson, welcome to Redshirt Cinema Club.
Hey. Very appropriate.
Where we have just watched Jurassic Park, 1993, Steven Spielberg, one of the greatest, most memorable cinema releases of all time.
I guess so.
And this is actually an historic moment for Redshirt Cinema Club. I don't know if either of you two realise this, but this is the first time on the podcast that we have watched one of the 8 films that Michael Owen has seen.
Wow.
A list that also includes Rocky, Heat, Ghost, Cool Runnings, Seabiscuit, Karate Kid, and Forrest Gump.
They should do a Michael Owen box set.
We should do the Michael Owen collection on Redshirt Cinema Club.
Yeah.
Seabiscuit.
And every time we do it at the end, we can do Michael Owen's verdict.
He's seen the full gamut of what movies have to offer there. I think decided that's enough. That's plenty.
Maybe he's right and we're wrong.
He hates films. There's that hashtag that he tried to start, hashtag hate films.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much traction that hashtag is getting.
I think he saw Jurassic Park like twice in the space of a week, something like that.
It's because he was on the Arsenal schoolboy programme or something, and Arsenal took all their kids to see Jurassic Park when it came out.
Wow.
And then a week later, he transferred to Liverpool's academy and they did the same thing.
Terrible.
Wow.
God, that must have been awful.
How did he know?
If you're Michael Owen.
He's got a list of all the films he's ever seen.
Yeah, he's only seen 8 films.
I know he's only seen 8 films, but what's weird to me is if I interacted with the form as little as that because I didn't care about it, I wouldn't write down every time I did.
I'm trying to think of an equivalent. I feel like I could tell you every play I've seen.
Right, maybe that's true.
Hilariously, though,
hashtag hate plays.
in a video where he was asked to rate out of 10 all the films he's seen, and they asked him to rate Rocky, he then said, "Oh, the first one. Oh, they get better than Rockies," implying that he's seen all of the other Rocky films as well.
So has he seen all the Jurassic Parks?
Who knows?
They don't get better anyway. They get worse.
They get worse. So we've just watched the best Jurassic Park film.
Maybe. We don't know. Let's
See
not
how we feel.
prejudge. Yeah. Michael Owen.
The original.
Yeah.
We haven't done a lot of prep for this, really. So we're going to do our usual at the moment and just, I guess, go through the film chronologically.
There's a chance we've thrown Jurassic Park away.
I hope not.
I don't know if we have thrown it away.
It's one of my favourite films ever, and I think that it's probably something that we quote like weekly amongst ourselves, at least. It's I think one of our good friends, Meeks's favourite films. I mean, he actually has too much love for this film. Yeah, where for a while he would just watch it every night before bed, and I mean like late into his 30s. But I was watching it last night and I can kind of get it. It's so good and so comfortable. I can get it why he might feel that way. It's just an incredible,
very well crafted film.
It is wonderful. I had it. It was one of the few VHS tapes I owned at my grandma's house. My grandma had a small collection of VHS tapes whenever we used to go and stay
like Michael Owen
at her house. She had obviously The King and I and Oliver and all her favourite music, Riverdance and Lord of the Dance, which she used to try and bribe me to watch with her.
Lord of the what?
Lord of the Dance.
That was you. Hoping it was Lord of the Rings. It was a great joke.
It wasn't real yet.
That was before Lord of the Rings was even a thing.
My God.
But she eventually realised that she needed films that I would actually like to see. And Jurassic Park was one of those. And for maybe until I was, God knows how old, maybe 12, 13, every time I went to my grandma's house, I would just watch this VHS of Jurassic Park. Wow. I think this might be the film I have watched more than any other film in my life.
Yeah.
I had a really similar experience with my nana and my dad's mum. who had recorded Star Wars off the television. But her side of the family were super into movies. I think I mentioned it in the Cinema Memories pod that we did, that my aunt, who used to live with her the whole time that we used to go and visit when I was a kid, was like just incredibly into films, and her sister as well, to be fair. I think it was my dad was the only one who wasn't super into movies, and they used to tape loads of stuff, and this was like in the mid-80s, so having a VHS was quite rare, and I still remember like the loading mechanism and stuff. And I think all of the movies, they had all of the Star Wars movies in the end on VHS, but Star Wars was just the one I watched over and over again. And I remember once they were trying to get me to come for lunch, and I've remembered it because I must have known it was, you know what I mean? I was on the periphery of understanding this was a lie, but they said that the actors needed to have their break as well. Got to pause the movie now.
My grandparents used to go to Cyprus twice a year, and they used to come back with loads of VHSs. It took me a long time to realise that they were pirate. Well, I just watched the movie and just think the quality was really, really low. Yeah. I think it was literally just like a high-end camera in a cinema.
What are they doing in Cyprus?
Filming like all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. I had those from there. I remember distinctly. Had the box art and everything, like badly photocopied. It was great. I mean, at least they thought of me.
What a time.
What was everybody's, I think we have talked about this before, but what was everybody's first experience with Jurassic Park? Because mine was in the cinema. My parents took me for my, I've got to do the maths again. What is it, like 8th birthday, I think? And as I said before, there was a kid who came, that they had to go on a recce to watch it to make sure it was suitable for me and my friends as a birthday party thing. And one of the kids got freaked out by Gennaro getting eaten in half.
There's specifically no eating in this.
And I actually I had a really weird memory watching it last night of being in that cinema specifically, just for when they're up the tree and Tim just tells his jokes, his "Do you think he saw us?" jokes. And I just remembered the laughter in the audience of the cinema. It was very strange. It was like a sort of weird out of body experience that I had just momentarily. But what about you guys? When was your first watch of Jurassic Park?
Mine was, my first experience of it, as I've mentioned on this podcast before, was of driving past the cinema in Taunton on my way to school for about a month, just staring longingly at the Jurassic Park poster on the wall of the cinema and never going to see it at the cinema. That was my first experience of it. And then I actually watched it. My dad finally was like, I think it's time. I think my uncle was also there. There was a bunch of us in my dad's living room just watching it on TV. I think he might have taped it on... you unlocked a memory when you said, I went to see... I had a VHS that was taped off the TV, because I can remember a JVC sleeve. And there's something about those that in the memories you attach to just certain bits of physical stuff, like the white label with my dad's very untidy handwriting, Jurassic Park, spelt wrong on the side of it, like something else crossed out up above it that he taped over with Jurassic Park. Yeah. And that tape being like amazing. Like, Dad, can we watch Jurassic Park? And it had all the adverts on it. I can remember there was that advert there was some kind of Lynx Africa advert. I remember being on this Jurassic Park thing that I watched. Yeah. But anyway, that was my first experience of it, and my dad constantly having to, or felt like he had to constantly reassure me in my ear, they don't get eaten. I might have been asking, actually. It was the kitchen scene. I was like, I was maybe 7 or 8 at the time.
This might be too much, Dad.
I was like, Dad, do they get eaten?
I'm not sure I can go on with this.
He didn't want to spoil it for anyone else in the room, so he just let it into my ear. No.
Right.
They're all right. And then last night when I watched it, I watched it with my daughter and wife on the sofa.
Has your daughter seen it before?
She had seen bits of it before, because when she was 4 or 5, she used to be really into dinosaurs. Right. And so I showed her like the non-scary scenes.
Just the start of the movie.
But it was the first time she'd seen the whole thing together. Yeah. And she was like, I could see she was, is this bit too scary for you? No. And she had a little blanket on. Yeah. And I did the same thing during the kitchen scene. She was like, oh, yeah. And I was like, it's all right. They don't get eaten. So I did the same thing for her that my dad did for me 30 years ago.
How about you, Nath? What was your first experience of Jurassic Park?
I went to see it at the cinema with my brother, the Chatham Canon, I think. And I remember...
What were you, like 12?
I was 12, and I just looked it up, because I've got a memory of this being one of the first 12s, but it wasn't. It was a PG, because they hadn't invented, or maybe there was only a hard 12, and the 12A rating hadn't been invented yet, and I think now it's a 12A. I remember, I was already like really aware of Steven Spielberg and Star Wars. Obviously knew I loved Star Wars, and it was a huge deal. Like summer blockbuster cinema in the 90s was still like a massive thing, and actually they were getting bigger and bigger up, all the way through the 90s, and the digital effects were the thing that everybody was talking about. And I do remember just thinking they were, I was watching it last night, and we'll probably get into it now, and I think that they, I guess in our standard that we've talked about in the podcast, it's not just about how strong the effects are and what they can do, but how they're being used and whether they're being overstretched. And I think that it works incredibly within the limits, and even though I think some of it looks quite dated now, it doesn't look terrible by any means. And I think I said my mum won a copy of it on VHS from a radio, which she never used to phone into radios. Not my mum's one of those people just at home ringing up fucking Invicta FM or anything. But she picked it up from school and was like, oh, by the way, I won a copy of VHS, Jurassic Park on VHS. And I thought, well, that's good, isn't it? It wasn't my favourite film. I don't know. It was weird. When we met Meeks and it was his favourite film. Yeah. I just remember thinking, whose favourite film is Jurassic Park? I'm warmly disposed to Jurassic Park, but I don't love it.
I've got this sense you've always been sat, Rob and I effusing about it, and you're just sort of like, yes.
And I think
good.
Maybe it's just because I was a bit older when it came out, and I already had it's not Star Wars tier for me, or it never has been in the past.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to sort of dig into why that is, maybe a little bit, or maybe it's just the age we saw it. I don't know.
It's dinosaurs, for Christ's sake.
I've never been into dinosaurs.
Maybe that's it. Like this film, and I really realised it last night, it captures the magic of dinosaurs, I think, so much better than any of the other Jurassic Park films. I think the first half hour is amazing.
Yeah.
Like just there's something about that credit sequence, the Universal logo. This is one of the last times we see this version of the Universal logo before it went all stupid and shimmery. There's like a
big planet.
There's almost like a prehistoric quality to the Universal logo, and the way it just comes on with no sound. You can just hear like the chirping of some kind of insects in the distance, and then the way the credits come on. Jesus Christ, it's so good. That sort of like.
I was going to say the music is extremely good.
Oh, it's amazing. It's so
atmospheric.
good. The first thing you see is like some trees moving. You're like, as a kid, it's a dinosaur. Is it a dinosaur? And it just cuts to some very stoic looking men with Jurassic Park hats on. There's so much tension in the air in this scene. Like, holy shit, am I going to see a dinosaur straight away? No. But you're going to see a man being killed by one, and it's terrifying and mysterious and so exciting.
It is mysterious. I thought that whole scene looked remarkably cheap, actually. The cage,
really?
The cage now, I just thought, I've got no problem. What I felt like I was in the hands of all the way through was my big impression. I enjoyed it more this time than I'd ever enjoyed it before. And my whole impression was that the pacing and storytelling is just like masterful. I always feel like we've spoken before, there's just always a good thing going on, and it made me like Samuel L. Jackson's character a bit later on is just a great example. Rob, you kind of saying how struck you were when you were making your student film about his use of the cigarette prop.
Oh God!
And but moments like that, things like that, all the way through, and every kind of scene is rattling along, and the way that the film just leans in a very knowing way to everything it's doing, including the scene of Alan right at the beginning just telling that slightly porky kid about how he might get slashed up by a dinosaur. Like everything. They're so mean to that kid, and they're walking up the hill, and she's like, I think he says, "Oh, you want kids?" And she's like, "Not that kid." That kid sucks.
That's a good bit. I actually did do a little bit of research before the podcast. Only a tiny bit, really, just because I was interested in kind of how it got made. And obviously, it was a book. It was actually not obviously a book. It was actually a screenplay that Michael Crichton wrote.
Oh, really?
That he turned into a book.
I did not realise
and
that.
then turned back into a screenplay. And I think that I didn't realise much about Michael Crichton, and I've sort of half remembered some of this stuff, but he was an author first, but has also he's done some directing as well, I think.
Yeah.
And he's written like some classics.
Yeah.
Like some big movies.
The Andromeda Strain is him, right?
The Andromeda Strain.
Because I was going to say there are links with things that we've seen on the podcast before.
Sphere.
Yeah, which we didn't watch officially as part of the pod, right? But I watched during that run of sci-fi that we were doing.
Okay. I remember that being good and scary.
It is for periods, and then I think at the end it is. Yeah.
Quite a lot of Michael Crichton stuff does that. I remember reading The Andromeda Strain because I used to love the cover of his books. I read Jurassic Park because I loved the film. And in the front cover it had all of his other books in there at the time. I remember Sphere being in there. Congo, another one which I don't think I ever read.
I've never seen that. That's also been adapted.
Never read it or seen it. But picking out The Andromeda Strain, and it was like, holy shit, terrifying, mysterious, terrifying, and it's over.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of his films or books seem to do that.
He was actually training to be, I think, a doctor. He was certainly a medical student of some kind, and fell out of love with it. And whilst he was studying, he was also writing under another name. I think it was Robert Lang. He was writing like sort of cheap detective novels. And yeah, I think he kind of fell out of love with the medical profession. But it's kind of interesting because obviously, I mean, I'm thinking about Jurassic Park specifically, but he's writing scientists there and about science that in a way that probably inspired a lot of people to get into it, because I think, you know, they're brilliantly drawn characters. The whole science of this movie is fascinating, whether it's, you know, what percentage of it is based in reality, I couldn't really say. But I think apparently he met Steven Spielberg first on the Universal lot when I think he just started working there, and he went to do a tour, and Steven Spielberg was asked to show him around. So he actually met like a number of years, I'm not sure what the date was, but a number of years before he wrote Jurassic Park, and I think he maybe had the idea and mentioned it first. But what was interesting to me was that, he started it as a screenplay, turned it into a book, and apparently he gave the rights or sold the rights to Steven Spielberg just hours before the publisher got a phone inquiry from another director I actually would like to have seen this Jurassic Park. Can you guess who it might have been in around 1993? Well, yeah, apparently the movie went into pre-production in 1989.
Okay.
So a while. So let's say the rights were sold in 1989.
James Cameron.
Absolutely was James Cameron.
Oh, wow.
Which would have been a very interesting movie, I think, because it's already quite scary. I feel like he would have done a really horrible version of it in a good way. But he tells the story that he was reading Jurassic Park. He got to the bit where the T-Rex escapes and just put the book down and phoned the publisher, and they were like, we just hours ago.
I like that scene. We sold them to Steven Spielberg, and Cameron. Spielberg.
But he said that he thinks that Spielberg's movie is, peerless, and he wouldn't have done such a good job.
I've seen Cameron being very generous to other filmmakers in that way.
Yeah.
I've seen him being. I love how no nonsense he is as well. Have you ever seen that clip of him? I think around the time of Avatar, and he comes off a plane, and there's a guy following him around the airport or just outside the airport with a phone camera, just asking. He says, "Why wouldn't you sign my thing? I should have signed my thing." And Cameron just gets into his car, and I think he just looks at him and says, "I don't owe you anything."
That's great.
Fucking yeah, that's right.
And he's absolutely correct.
he is correct. I just like it. I've seen him be very generous, but I can imagine that he's
that's the right way to say no. It's like it wasn't rude, didn't shout, didn't push away.
Rude before the camera started.
There was a lot of rudeness before that. The last bit of like pre-production-y stuff that I found out was just who they had also spoken to cast in different roles.
So the cast is really interesting, and obviously we've just done David Lynch. So the fact that Laura Dern's in there, I'm not sure what she had done in between this and Blue Velvet. No, but I mean it's only 7 years.
Yeah,
and she's obviously I think she's incredible in this.
Yeah. Well, someone pointed out to me that none of the cast are really like blockbuster.
That's it. Yeah.
They're like and is that because Spielberg didn't want them to get in the way of the premise, and just like, because the story's so good, it's like we need someone, obviously the cast are amazing, and there's a proper ensemble cast of just everyone's amazing, but that some of the names that they had thought about, so I think they had considered Sean Connery for Hammond. Right away it's a different
welcome to Jurassic Park.
At least he's actually Scottish.
He's actually Scottish. They considered Harrison Ford for Grant.
Of course.
I mean, I love Harrison Ford, and I think he'd be amazing in it, but not with Indiana Jones as well.
It just becomes a generic 90s.
It's probably the right thing to do, I reckon, wasn't it? Because much like the thing, the attraction within the film itself, the attraction of the film is you're coming to see the dinosaurs.
Yes, it is.
You don't want to come to see an actor.
Yeah, exactly. Who else? Instead of Laura Dern, they considered Sandra Bullock.
Okay.
Who must have been I felt like she must have been so young at the time. I don't know how young,
So
but
was
like
Laura
in
Dern,
her
to be fair.
20s. But it just feels like Laura Dern apparently is 28 in the movie. She feels older to me. Like maybe it's just because she's such a wise character.
She was only 18, 19 in Blue Velvet. So.
She'd have been like 24 when they filmed this.
Well, I heard 28.
She was born in 67. I looked this up last night because I was like, how old was Sam Neill in this?
How old was Sam
He
Neill?
was 43.
That's my
when they
age.
filmed
I'm
this.
like Sam Neill.
Yeah.
I'm going to be famous.
Well, Sam Neill apparently wasn't confirmed for the role until a couple of weeks before they actually started shooting. So I'm not sure
Maybe that
whether they
explains
were
why
really in negotiations with Harrison Ford or whether
he can't
they.
decide what accent he's doing.
And
He's I'm going to be fuck it.
The last one I remember was instead of Jeff Goldblum, Jim Carrey.
Can you
Which
imagine?
you can see, it's just completely
Harrison
different.
Ford, Sandra Bullock, Jim Carrey, and Sean Connery. Directed by James Cameron.
Yeah,
That is like a
This
Saturday Night
alternate
Live take.
universe, Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Wow.
and that is the end. Oh, I remembered one more thing as well. It's just a good thing because Crichton went back and to do the screenplay, with Spielberg, and he said to Spielberg, because he was like, what can I do? What's the budgetary? Do I have to consider budgets and things when I'm writing scenes? And he said, just the only limit's your imagination. We'll figure it out, which is cool.
That's what you want to hear, isn't it?
Yeah.
The thing about Jurassic Park that I always think, because I don't think you know this, Rob, but Meeks and Dave and I all watched on Disney Plus a couple of years ago. I think it's a 6-part documentary on the history of industrial light and magic.
Yeah.
The George Lucas special effects house that he put together to support the production of Star Wars. And it's kind of an interesting story told across it. The beginning, it's like nerds in a garage making models, breaking new ground, doing incredible stuff. Then quite quickly, I think George Lucas set up his empire relatively quickly. He had always had this dream of being very independent. So basically became you think of George Lucas as a we'll probably get into loads of this when we do Star Wars eventually, but you think of him like young filmmaker, had already had a hit, has the biggest hit ever in the history of Hollywood, this is it. He's rich, he's successful, he's happy, he's incredibly unhappy. He overextends himself financially in order to try and build an empire that separates him from Hollywood so he doesn't have all the same struggles that he has. And then he really has to make Star Wars 1 and 2, Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, just in order to keep everything from falling apart. They're massively successful, so he kind of does manage to do that. By the end, he's exhausted, which is why he doesn't really make any films in the 80s. And he has this special effects house then, which suddenly needs feeding with other work. So it's like you create this beast that then you're actually the beast is the master of you. And it tells this story all through the 80s of why they worked on so many other films. And then Jurassic Park is the first time that a lot of they'd become world-leading experts on not just model making and craft, stop motion animation and puppetry and all of these things. And so the people that have been working for, at this point, coming up for 20 years on that team were just getting ready for Jurassic Park. And it's the first time that then this other small department over here somewhere, like Photoshop had come out of Industrial Light and Magic, Pixar had come out of Industrial Light and Magic. And that sort of digital side of it produced this reel for, I can't remember who it was, maybe Spielberg, maybe someone else on the team, just seeing we could actually probably do the dinosaurs digitally. And they were like,
I think they kind of did it just on their own, didn't they? I think that there was within ILM, there was a bit of politics around some people were doing traditional sort of stop motion and physical miniatures and things. And the computer guys were like, we can do this with computers. I know we can do this with computers.
I think that they said they made a reel and there was a tour of an exec coming around, and they'd been told you're not going to be able to pitch this to and they were like, no, that's cool, and they just had it on the TV in the room while this tour was going, and somebody was like, what's this? So there's this guy, he's it's kind of a sad story. There's a guy called Phil Tippett who was like he's
the dinosaur supervisor.
He is the dinosaur supervisor.
But that's the special title they gave him. It's like, you know, when like Japanese games execs get sent up and they're like honorary chairman.
Right.
It's like, yeah, now Phil, you're the dinosaur supervisor. So he had done like the stop motion animation and the puppetry on the Tauntauns in like The Empire Strikes Back, and he'd done all this incredible work. He was an absolute kind of craftsman, and his version of Jurassic Park was suddenly gone. And what they got him to do, I think they made like a digital maquette. So basically the dinosaurs are digital, but they'd almost done like a performance capture of a puppet that he was moving with more traditional materials. And that's why he was the dinosaur supervisor.
You keep seeing the meme, don't you? You had one job, Phil.
Yes.
Dinosaur supervisor.
And ironically, after this, no more jobs. So that was the end of it.
I remembered one more bit of cast information that I enjoyed, which is that Joe Mazzello plays Tim, auditioned to be in Hook. I think Hook.
So you're going to say auditioned for Alan. Auditioned for the role.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because he auditioned for Hook and Spielberg loved him, but thought he was said he was too young for the role. So I don't know if he was going for Jack in Hook.
Is he better than the kid in Hook? He might
Yes.
be. Do you think?
What, better than Jack?
We've got to watch Hook.
Yeah, I know.
Rob, do you like Hook?
I don't have any great love for it. No. I'm not actually convinced I've ever seen it start to finish. Ever.
Well, that's perfect.
It
I've
is
seen the
perfect.
whole, it's always on TV, and it's never the start of the film when I watch it, ever.
Now
Well.
that I am full dad,
So I don't actually know
very excited
what
about
the
watching
order of events.
Tinkerbell in Hook.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember my dad was a big fan.
So Spielberg said
Sorry.
that Mazzello, you can't be in Hook, but I'll find you a film, and it's the next film
I'll
he makes,
find you a
and it's
film.
Jurassic Park. And
Imagine that kid
he
in
wanted
Hook.
him so much
Why
that
can't I be in Jurassic
Crichton in the book, the ages are the other way around. The boy, the brother is older, and the sister is younger. But Spielberg asked for them to be switched so that Mazzello could be in this film.
Michael Crichton also, I've never understood this. I've always enjoyed his work in terms of, I know that I'm about to see like a sci-fi, what do they call it when it's like, Rob, you'll know, speculative fiction. There you go. Did Westworld as well.
Yes.
That's Michael Crichton. But also ER. That was his big thing
Yeah,
for
I
a
know.
long time.
Yeah.
He was the executive producer on ER. The show. I think maybe the showrunner. But it's like his show.
There's a line in Jurassic Park, and I wondered if it was a little nod to Westworld, just because it says it's where I think Hammond says something like, "Oh, this rides break down at Disneyland all the time," and then Malcolm's like, "Yeah, but at Disneyland, if the ride breaks down, the Pirates of the Caribbean don't eat the tourists."
Yeah.
Which is just so Westworldy.
It is very Westworld. And you imagine Michael, like,
It might not be a nod, but I liked the idea that it was.
I remember when I realised that Michael Crichton had done both Westworld and Jurassic Park, and it is the same story. It's
Yeah.
like there's a theme park, right? And then the stuff goes mad.
Imagine.
Mad.
But anyway, that's all my pre-production information.
That was good information.
Yeah, it's there's a lot out there because people love Jurassic Park.
I know. We should maybe have done like a brief little history of what Spielberg had been up to this point in his career, but we didn't.
No,
So it's too
Everyone
late.
knows.
It's too late
He
now.
did Jaws, did that, the Hook. Schindler's
was
List. This was that before Jurassic
no, it's
Park?
the next film he does.
Schindler's List is the next
It
one.
didn't come out
Yes.
in the same year. I think.
Yeah,
Blimey. Oh, he was
Yeah.
busy, wasn't he?
Duel.
Around
He's
this time.
done.
Jaws, a TV.
He's been
movie.
involved in the Goonies.
Executive produced the Goonies and
E.T. done.
E.T. Yes.
Yeah.
Close Encounters was before
Yes.
this as well.
Yeah,
We're jumping around a bit.
we are.
Yeah.
That's the history.
Indiana
Jurassic
Jones.
Park.
Yeah. But Jurassic Park,
Jurassic
yeah, and
Park.
that opening scene, I think it's fantastic. I do know what you mean, Nath, a little bit. It does look a little bit cheap. It really struck me yesterday watching this, the sort of stylized way. Spielberg has it could very easily encroach upon the cheesy, some of the shot choice and things. Like there's lots of quite dark people with like light over their eyes, and the camera sort of tracks into them as they say something
The
powerful.
tracking in is really good.
It-
I really like it. It's such a little punctuation.
It's
That's
great.
what I mean. It's very knowing.
Yes.
It's just like, yeah. It's,
I think it's got to be used really carefully, because I think someone else could make it cheesy, or maybe it's just the power. The story's so good that you can get away with some quite on the nose sort of camera techniques. But I noticed it in that scene, and I think it's just. I also really thought about the kind of the famous lesson that Spielberg apparently learned from Jaws about not showing the monster, the shark, until you really have to, until people are just like desperate, and that the Velociraptor is that in Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
you see the eye of the Velociraptor right at the start, and the Velociraptor is obviously set up as actually the big bad guy. Everyone's heard of the T-Rex. The T-Rex will kill a lawyer who we're supposed to hate anyway because it's a stupid lawyer. Doesn't actually kill anybody else and then saves the day. But the Velociraptor, right from this opening scene, is painted as the real bad guy. I think you probably haven't heard of a Velociraptor.
Yeah, I think this is one of the smartest things the film does. And I remember really distinctly experiencing this as a young viewer. And to get through to 12-year-old kids, right, you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
I remember understanding what the Velociraptor is. And also realizing that it's because, of course, you go, the T-Rex is on the picture, it's on the poster, it's on the logo, it's on everything. Everyone knows what a T-Rex is. And remember distinctly being told there is this other thing which is going to be more dangerous. The fate of Newman is
yes,
is there to set that up. And I remember, like, in a way, it's amazing because you've got the star of the film is always going to be the T-Rex in a way. But then if you can create this other character and then run them in parallel, and I'm just thinking about the stupid Jurassic World film that we went to see, it's still basically living off that now. Like, it's made Velociraptors a star in a weird way, and then it's like continuing them going. But here, for the first time, to have them in tension with each other is a great idea. And you're right, David, it does start with what could be so scary that it's in this box.
That man is lifted up into the air.
I still don't understand the physics of this scene, but I just don't care.
Doesn't matter.
It's like, how is the raptor inside the cage, headbutted the cage and made the cage move back the other way?
He jumped.
What's going on?
He jumped and did it.
Doesn't matter. I believe it.
I know it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But it's so exciting. And the ultimate cheesy shot is of Muldoon's mouth. Shoot her! I
love it.
Shoot her!
Dave says shoot her a lot.
We say that in all the streams all the time.
Yeah, shoot her.
It's all right. I've got her.
It's so panicked that I don't know. I find that line very effective.
And I love Robert Muldoon is like he's not the hero, is he? But he's
brilliant.
He is my favourite character. I just love Robert Muldoon so much. Maybe it's because I had the Robert Muldoon action figure when I was a kid. Like, it was the Christmas after Jurassic Park, and I asked for all of the Jurassic Park toys, obviously.
Yeah.
My mum didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
the only one left.
I got Robert Muldoon, and I got a Dilophosaurus.
Never the two shall meet.
And I wanted so bad. I wanted the T-Rex. Obviously, the T-Rex is like the thing.
Of course.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of like T-Rex sized presents under the tree.
Oh.
And my mum must have, knowing what it's like.
It's socks.
Knowing what it's like to, see your kid's face on Christmas now and hope that they like the presents you've got.
Yeah.
Every box that could have been the T-Rex, I was like, is this the T-Rex? Is this the T-Rex? Oh, it's not the T-Rex, but this is a nice present. Oh, thanks, Mum. So obvious that I never got the T-Rex.
Oh, man. I guess
I've got one at home now. I bought my daughter one 4 or 5 years ago. The new T-Rex that roars.
I bought my daughter one. Yes, It's for her.
Where's your Muldoon? Maybe your Muldoon could make a comeback.
They don't do Muldoons anymore.
Where's your Muldoon?
Probably my mum chucked it out with all of the other toys. I suspect
he is a hero. He's fantastic.
He is a hero. He's like he is the one leading the charge. You mentioned how the Velociraptor is built up throughout the film, constantly referred to. You've got Alan Grant demonstrating and telling the kid at the beginning how dangerous they are. You've got the scene where the baby one is born and everyone's like, oh, baby dinosaur. And Grant does that amazing look. What species is this?
Yeah.
And you can see it in Woo's face. It's a velociraptor. You bred raptors. And just the way that camera tracks around to Grant's face, the music just does that little ominous swell. And he looks at this little thing he's got in his hand.
Yeah.
And you just know, holy shit, these raptors are... It's terrifying.
Well, isn't it the very next scene where we're introduced to Muldoon? Well, properly introduced to Muldoon with the line,
"They should all be destroyed." Robert Muldoon.
I like Muldoon. We see so many action movies where the tension and the decision making and the motivations for characters is in service to their disagreeing or getting a cheap reaction from the audience. And the thing I love about Muldoon is he's set up as an expert, and he's set up as like a colonial figure from a slightly different kind of era. His expertise is there to be respected. He's in slight tension with the other experts that work in the park, but also he's not a dickhead.
No.
Like, it's really easy for that character to be horrible to the scientist, to not care about. Like, he's an honourable guy, self-sacrificing in the end. Just like, he's a likable person, but he doesn't detract from all the things that we need that expert character to do, which is just to say destroy them.
Yeah,
I like it. I love him. I think he's great. And the character and the actor Bob Peck is in. There was a TV series, I think it's called Edge of Darkness, which is kind of like a set in. It's actually directed, I think, by Martin Campbell. I think his name is, like a New Zealand director who went on to direct some of the best Bonds. So I think he directed Casino Royale, I think.
Oh wow!
But he directed GoldenEye as well.
Yeah.
And then he remade Edge of Darkness with Mel Gibson, which wasn't as good. But it's like a 6-part BBC series. It's like this weird flashback, it's like nuclear secrets in Northern England, and he's like the main character, like this policeman. Watch it, it's great.
Oh, that sounds cool. I would watch a show like that based off of just Bob Peck, I think.
Yeah,
that's how good
Wally
he is as Muldoon.
His daughter in it, so who married Val Kilmer and is in Willow, which we should also watch.
That's very cool.
Oh, I love that.
Rest in peace, Val Kilmer.
But it was I was really thinking last night watching this about how, again, efficient this movie. It's just like zips along and just gets you straight in there. The first scene sets up velociraptors, a man is killed. The next scene, the lawyer is just doing the exposition of a man has been killed, so we're going to have a trip to talk about the park and figure out what's going on. The next scene is basically Hammond coming to find the people to come to the park with him.
I didn't understand any of this as a kid. Now, of course, I see. It's just funny. Like, insurance is the big motivator behind the scenes.
Part of the reason I wonder.
In 48 hours, if they're not convinced, I'm not convinced.
In 48 hours, I'll be accepting your apology.
Part of the reason I wonder about that, because I remember the scene, the Velociraptor scene. Oh my God, amazing! Then as a kid, the whole lawyer scene, I just was like, nothing's going in here. It's like no idea what's happening here. Then I'm back when the guy Alan Grant is explaining about the Velociraptor and he doesn't like computers. I'm like, I get it, bones and that, and Velociraptor, scary. But part of the reason I think is that the dialogue is very naturalistic.
Yes.
Often people talking over each other to a point where I was like, there's in that scene.
No. I want to hear what they have to say.
Yeah. In that scene where we're introduced to Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler, and he's talking to the kid. She's sort of just almost like ad-libbing in bits and pieces. There's definitely just a sense of it being really realistic and just rather than your line, do a line. It's I think maybe a little bit more difficult to follow because of that, perhaps. But also, it's really not. There's nothing in those lines to be following.
No. Well, there's the scene in the caravan where they meet Hammond for the first time, and as a kid, I didn't know where he'd come from, what he was doing there.
No.
I knew he was inviting them to go to Jurassic Park, and at the end they're like really happy about it, and like they must be happy they're going to Jurassic Park because it's cool.
Yeah.
And it's only, I think it was only last night I realised he's offered to fund their dig for 3 years.
Yes.
I'd never absorbed that information before.
Me neither.
Yeah.
You come to my park and I will fund your digs for another 3 years.
Yes.
And holy shit, everyone wins.
I
Great.
love that scene. I love the way that the conversation goes in two different directions. Where Grant he's realised who Hammond is, and is like being nice to him. But then Sattler comes in and she's like, "Who's the jerk with the helicopter?" And he's like, "Mr. Hammond." And she realizes, and then he's doing his thing, and she's still going like, "Did I say jerk?" I really enjoy that. How
it's slightly screwball. It's great.
Yeah.
There's a lovely just visual. He's there in a pure white with the champagne. They're there. People of the earth, the archaeologists covered in dust.
Yes.
I love how the two worlds just mesh and collide.
Do you know when you're making a scene like that, like you said, that information about the dig hadn't, and I don't think I'd ever listened to that either in the last time I'd ever seen the film. And then just how important the celebration is, because you don't have to play the scene like that, but it gives it life, it gives it an energy, but also it means that if you're 7 or 12 and you haven't really been paying attention, you understand that they're happy. Do you know what I mean? It's like they come together, they're happy, they got to do a thing. And I always thought they were happy because they were being paid loads of money to go to Jurassic Park.
Well, speaking of efficiency, there's just loads of good, again, because it zips along, and I'm just forever impressed with movies in general, really, that they have such little time with characters to make you know them and like them. In that scene, Hammond making the drinks. Instantly, he's a nice man. They're like, "Oh, we'll make it." He's like, "No. I know my way around the kitchen." No, like nice. Okay, like he's actually nice. He's not.
He's so nice.
I don't need to be worried about him.
About Muldoon being nice.
Yeah.
That character Hammond could absolutely have been an absolute arsehole, but he's so lovely.
Even the lawyer is kind of a good guy.
The only person who isn't
is.
who isn't nice is Dennis Nedry, and
Yes.
even then. He's fun. He's fun mean, isn't he?
He's
just
And I think that's the next scene. No, that's certainly what I was going to say.
Even this
Nedry, they've got like no time to let you know he's the bad guy.
The madness of Nedry for me is that he's got like 3 scenes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
He is
I thought
iconic.
I thought that his journey around the park in my head, it was scenes and scenes.
Yeah.
And it's like he gets out there and he's just cooked.
Yeah,
He's just done.
It's so iconic. But that initial scene is just so great. Dodgson, we got Dodgson here. It's like he's such a dick, isn't he? He's just a dick. And
the way he like gets the foam and just puts it on a slice of pie.
Yeah. Did you notice that's someone else's pie?
Yes.
It's not his pie.
And I thought it was Dodgson's pie when I first watched
Right.
it. Oh, he put it on Dodgson's pie. But Dodgson's just sat down. He's not ordered any food.
Yeah.
It is someone else's pie.
Yeah. And obviously the thing with the bill.
It's such
Don't get
a
cheap
great
on my
little
Dodgson.
note.
Incredible. That's what Hammond did. And he just tells you
that line
the
there.
whole story.
I'd never noticed that line before.
Yeah.
That's what Hammond did.
Yeah.
And immediately you know what this guy is doing. He works for Hammond. He's
Yeah.
betraying Hammond because he's not paid enough. Ironically, they spared no expense apart from on the IT guy.
Yeah, exactly. And
I was thinking when they're in that scene where that comes up between him and Hammond, I
it's
was like,
great.
Hammond, you should have fired this guy. But I
Yeah.
guess he's
really-
super important. But
he's just-
it's only got 3 guys running the fucking park. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
It's all done on automation. Dennis Nedry bit. No, yeah, I'd love you to find someone who could do this job for as cheap as I bid it because I will not get drawn into another financial debate with you, Dennis. I really will not. I just love the sort of like. It's not a movie argument. That's the kind of sort of like slightly, I'm going to have to get cross with this guy now. But
Yeah.
he can't quite bring himself to be like, you're fired, man.
There's a level of quality
in the film.
and I think that when you talk about the cast, obviously Attenborough is amazing, but and you talk about the Neil and Dern and Samuel L. Jackson just popping up and Bob Peck. The cast is not there to be stars, but they've all done really, really interesting things. And you see great actors turn up in blockbuster movies which aren't aiming for the same thing. I guess you put that together with someone of the craft of Spielberg, and this is the kind of result that you can get. And I really do think it's a matter of understanding, just like something to do with the storytelling, just a knack for how much is going to go in, what audiences it's going to go into, what notes that you need around it. Because you've got all this stuff going on, which obviously, like, until we were in our 30s and 40s, we barely paid attention to. Still love these films. This is why Meeks has been loving it for all these years, man.
Yeah, who's funding the dig? That's what I'd like to know.
Young Meeks.
That's in there. Yeah.
Even the scene where you get introduced to Gennaro for the first time,
Yeah.
where he's just like standing awkwardly on that
Yeah,
little
in his
stool.
suit,
And he's
so
just
out
being
of place.
pulled. It's brilliant.
He does a slip on a rock.
It's a fantastic.
I always am like, did
Yeah.
he mean to do that? It's so good.
He must
the
have,
slip on
man.
that. It's like just physical comedy, really.
It's perfect. Like, how can we characterize this guy? You just hear the clothes he's in. You can tell he's like, balancing awkwardly on
Yeah.
this thing. Slips on the rock.
And then the last there's the kids, but the last sort of big introduction in this opening sequence is Ian Malcolm on the helicopter. And again, obviously, there's like a little bit of chat, and you know, I'd bring scientists. You brought a rock star. Like we're starting to find out who he is. I'm a chaotician. But the real thing is when they get to the island and they're putting on their seatbelts, and you see Gennaro put on his seatbelt, and he's just like normal man puts on seatbelt clunkily. Then it's like Malcolm, and did you notice he just puts the seatbelt in like just it's so smooth. I don't know how he does it, effortless, and he just looks so cool doing up his seatbelt. It's like a little character thing that tells you so much about him, who he is in this movie. And then there's obviously Sam Neill, Alan Grant, who's got 2 wrong ends, and he just ties it together and solves the problem.
2 female ends.
2
Dave.
female ends. Oh my God! And life finds a way, or Dr. Alan Grant finds a way.
Oh
anyway.
my God. Oh my God. This movie's fucking amazing.
I can't believe you've not been
Oh
on
my
IMDb to
God.
get that bit of trivia right.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
good.
blown
isn't it?
my mind.
That is good.
Wow, that's really
Every
good.
time Rob looks at IMDb, this is what it's like.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's unbelievable.
And then the last big introduction, actually, the dinosaurs.
Yes.
It's so
That's true. We've
it's
had the seatbelt.
so good, and everybody is desperate for this in the movie, just desperate. And I love this reveal so much.
I was thinking about it when I was watching it this time, just the unlikeliness of him not saying at any point, by the way, I have got real fucking dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Waiting until they're actually there. So what's this place called? Jurassic Park. What
Yeah.
the fuck's going to be in the park?
Yeah, sorry, why do you need a paleontologist and a paleobotanist? Why would they be good at a theme park? I don't know.
What's the first dinosaur that they see?
I think it's a
Brachiosaurus.
Brachiosaurus. I don't know. I always, last night I was thinking about the driver in that scene. It's like Jeff Goldblum, Sam Neill, Laura Dern, man. And he's very much in the scene and he has to be a part of it. He has to, I think, Jeff Goldblum says something like, you crazy fool, you fucking did it. And the guy has to look around at him like, bit strong.
Crazy son of a bitch, you did it.
You did it. And
We're going to make a fortune with this place,
and
says Gennaro.
Sam Neill's shocked, can't take his eye off the dinosaur grabbing Laura Dern's head, just like it's so
The sunglasses
good, and the
coming off.
music, and the first time we see a dinosaur, and it's this CG, never been done before. It still looks amazing.
Well, in terms of like the whole travel of how a film reaches you and all the talk before it, and like we said, all the talk was about they're bringing dinosaurs to life. We've waited until the technology was at this point that we could do it, and obviously that's said about loads of films. And then it turns out that the CG looks like a big piece of shit. But then you have, I think, we've been talking about it, like what Spielberg is showing us and deciding not to show us in the film in terms of like setting up the Velociraptor at the beginning, but also just about how powerful it is, as we've been looking at through the Matrix films. Just to have people telling you something is amazing. It's like almost more powerful. Better than showing us a maybe good CG dinosaur is to get 4 people in a car to be like thunderstruck by how incredible it looks, and then to show you. I guess that's also raising the stakes. If you turn around and it's like like that would also be bad at that point. But it stands up. It's a great.
Well, this has become this is the memes that have flowed out of this scene now. You've got like the funny, janky bit of Jurassic Park music that immediately follows Richard Hammond saying, "Welcome to Jurassic Park." And it's used for so many. Here's an amazing thing, and it turns out the thing's rubbish.
Yes.
Like I could just, as that bit of the film happened, I could just feel that crap bit of music in my head waiting to come out.
I wonder if the guys at Hello Games ever watched Jurassic Park, or whether now it's just like we're just burnt. We can't. I'm sorry.
It's we get the first mention of the T-Rex as well, which is kind of Hammond just like dropping his like big card, big because they ask a question like how fast are they, and he like, we've clocked the T-Rex at 30 miles an hour. Later on, you know, Muldoon's talking about velociraptors maybe going 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Like, why has he picked? And there's no T-Rex there right there. He just wants
Because he can't mention the velociraptor at that
T-Rex?
point.
60
We have a
miles an hour.
T-Rex.
60 miles an hour.
So actually, I
You
think-
imagine driving down the motorway and a velociraptor, that's how fast it can run.
Yeah.
I do realized, I guess one of the bigger moments that I had with this film this time was when they were in the helicopter coming to the island. And I think it's the first time in the film that the John Williams score or a particular version of the main theme is used. And it just made me realize how powerful it is. I guess it's from that later end of that era of blockbuster filmmaking, that Lucas Spielberg, John Williams scored core of like our childhood, as we've kind of spoken about, which, you know, like Star Wars, Superman, obviously, like it's also John Williams, and Indiana Jones and E.T. and then Jurassic Park. It just is in that sort of is still in that group, and I think it's like I said, because I had already had those formative experiences watching those films and catching up on those films, and then Jurassic Park was kind of new. And I think it's always the case when you are already at the party and something else turns up, like whether it's like a film or there are so many second albums of bands that I dismissed when I was 14 because for some whatever reason I was like, well, this isn't as good as their first album, and I listen to it now and go, actually this is just the same, I don't know what I was talking about. And I feel like this is probably the first time I realised how comfortably Jurassic Park sits with all of those other films. But it's hard to realise that something is a classic when you go to the cinema to watch it, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was when that happened. I just thought about the enormous kind of classical power of it and how it looms large kind of in all of Hollywood and film history. I just thought, fucking hell, this is like just unbelievably good. And I guess it's because of the weight of like how John Williams sounds. And also just I was struck by, if you're John Williams and you've got like that sound that he does, and there's something about, and I may betray that I don't really know loads about music, but the way that he puts notes together, and it's kind of like, this sounds like something I've heard before, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
But it's obviously of a piece with, and I don't know how many of them he's got. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
John Williams is like, oh, I'll give you another one. Yeah, I've been thinking of this one, or I don't know how he does it. Do you know what I mean?
No.
It's weird. Do you actually know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's got there's a sound.
Right.
I feel like a John Williams piece of music, generally speaking.
Absolutely.
You could hear one you hadn't heard before, and you think it was him, and he must have a certain method for approaching music. Yeah. He writes everything on piano, which maybe is part of it, and he works with. I think are they called an orchestrator, maybe someone who then works with him on his piano scores to make it for the orchestra. So say, well, we'll put this part, we'll put the bass here on the on the tuba. I don't know. And the strings, always that.
Yeah.
I was thinking the strings will do the melody. But maybe some flute or something. But yeah, he does have a real.
You were going to be like, and then he works with an orchestra. I think it's called an orchestra. Yeah,
I think Jurassic Park has almost 2 themes and loads of other amazing music in between. I mean, Rob, I love that you just brought out the very opening, just that the choir sort of thing is so good. But I think there's like kind of 2 main themes in Jurassic Park. I don't know if they're considered main themes, but when I think of Jurassic Park, I either think of one or the other. Right now, I can only think of. Da, 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 da. But there's definitely another one. When they go through the Jurassic Park gates,
I think maybe on the helicopter as well.
Right.
There's the stronger theme. I can't remember what it is. It's more kind of action.
And right at the end of the movie, you get the piano version of the theme, which I really love, and it's just John Williams playing.
Yeah. When you just see normal birds.
You see normal birds.
And everyone at school was like, oh, there's pterodactyls. No, they're not.
They're normal
They're
birds.
just birds.
It's cleverer than that.
Yes.
Anyway, we'll
Do you
get
know
to
what
that bit.
wasn't clever was when Alan Grant's explaining his theory about how the dinosaurs became birds, and he says, and they're even called raptors.
Yes,
like,
I know.
They didn't fucking call themselves
Like they
raptors,
named themselves.
mate. Come on.
Like, we're birds, bye.
Talking about John Williams really quickly, I guess like in terms of you saying there's almost 2 scores, always struck by that he did some of the. I'm not sure exactly what he worked on and what he didn't, but on the first Harry Potter film especially, it's always surprised me that the thing which I think of as the Harry Potter theme is like Hedwig's theme. It's just like that. I'm just going to write this absolutely fucking banging bit of music for the owl.
I think I was doing it in my head then. Yeah, as well. Hedwig. No show in the movies at all, really.
Owl, flappity flap, flap, flap.
Yeah, that's Hedwig's theme.
Yeah.
Oh right. I wonder what the Harry
those are the
Potter
words
theme
to
is
it.
like. Anyway, that's a different movie. Because the next bit is the next real kind of scene is the bit of the movie that it's an interesting choice, I think, and an important one, and it works really well. And it's here comes the science bit of the movie. Like, I will show you how we did this, and we're going to have to actually educate our audience because we can't assume they know what DNA is or how it works. And so there's a whole cartoon in this movie to explain to literally us, the audience, what's going on here.
A fair amount to The Simpsons in this, like in terms of the idea that we need to do this, but we can't just do this. So we'll do a version of how this would be done in the world, and it would be funny as well as actually doing the job.
It's great.
The bit I never noticed the bit where he mucks up his line, John Hammond, at the beginning.
Yeah,
he's too late for the on-screen John Hammond.
Yes,
he's supposed to say something to him, and he fumbles his line.
But then they're in sync perfectly.
And then they're in sync. Yeah.
But, so I don't know how they did that.
He absolutely nails the pricking of the finger.
Yeah.
Every time I'm like, How many times did they do that? And I think, it's not a trick either. I think he's in the room with a projection.
Yeah.
They're filming that.
Well, let me tell you, Dave, they can just go back and do it again.
They can, I know. But nowadays, I guess...
he was an actor, so he probably had a mark.
It's true. But nowadays, you wouldn't need to do it like that. You just go, just do the prick whenever you want and we'll just sync it up afterwards.
Oh, don't say that.
That's how they do it. That's how I do it. But they had to get it right. And it was very, very good. But I just really like that and it's a good chunk, it's a good scene. It's a decent length of DNA's in your blood. It's like a proper school thing.
I remember at school people talking about well, why haven't they done this? This is insane.
That's what I thought when I was 8. It's like, they could actually do this.
Yeah.
You just get the blood out of the mosquitoes and then you can make a dinosaur from that.
Yeah.
Do it now.
Why haven't they done that, Rob?
I don't know.
I think all the blood's gone, isn't it? But
is all the blood gone?
I think they have rescued some cells, I think, but I guess I don't know whether. I think they have.
I'm not saying they haven't. I'm just like, it's just.
I reckon they could do it.
It's a shame. Do you know what I don't understand? It is a shame. What could go wrong?
Yeah, I don't know. I stopped watching Jurassic Park there, and I was like, oh, that's fantastic.
I don't understand when they say, oh, we put some frog DNA in, or it's possible to clone. So hopefully we've got a learned listener who can tell us. So, for example, my dog passed away recently, right?
Yeah.
Did you know I'm going to be jumping?
It's going to be expensive.
I'm going to be jumping around a bit here. Barbara Streisand has cloned...
Could never have guessed you were going to say Barbara Streisand as the next two words.
I believe has cloned her dog several times. So just has a new version of her dog every time.
What the hell?
Her dog passes away.
Yeah.
I think it's like £10,000 to clone your dog. What I don't understand is, do they have like a 3D printer? Like, where are they getting the dinosaurs from? And also, I realised, so I buried my dog in my garden. So if I come into loads of money, can I go and extract some DNA from my dog before it completely rots away? And can I make a new version of my dog?
Well,
and
lots
also,
of questions. Okay.
I was a bit worried that if I did that, I would sometimes think it would be like a science fiction horror. Sometimes I'd be like, this is my dog, my dog's back. And then every now and again it would do something slightly evil.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, what's in my dog? We've betrayed nature.
Yes.
And my dog is evil inside.
Well, I'm pretty sure that clones...
So the big questions,
they can't be a perfect...
Are they 3D printed? And are clones evil?
My understanding is when they cloned the sheep, didn't they? That was the first thing they ever cloned. Dolly the sheep.
Around this time.
You still have to have like a surrogate mother, right, for a clone. You create some kind of, I don't know, just inject the thing into a surrogate mother and a clone. You can't just make a clone in a test tube.
I've got the DNA from a dinosaur.
Yeah.
I can't just inject that into a woman. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe they injected it into a crocodile or something. And
you haven't watched The Lost World?
Gave birth to the first one. Who knows?
There are gaps in the process.
Yeah.
It turns out that this car... Well, they leave the ride before the video's finished. So
maybe
to
this
be
is
fair,
why we don't know.
That's why we don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone listening to this podcast for a scientific explanation of how they could bring dinosaurs back is going to be writing.
My daughter was watching this with me last night, and she picked up on it right away. She said, "Where did the eggs come from then?
Yeah.
How have they made the eggs?
That is very.
How have they laid the eggs?
Exactly what I mean. How have they laid the eggs?
I don't know.
I guess they've got some sort of artificial incubator.
As a dad who's asked that question, you have to have the answer. All I could say was just watch that dinosaur. It's a good bit now.
I'll tell you at the end.
He explains it later. Just keep watching.
And we meet Dr. Wu,
who becomes the primary antagonist of the entire Jurassic World series.
Yeah.
Later on.
I'd almost forgotten that he was in it, let alone that he was the primary antagonist.
Yes. Sorry, you've got me thinking about the future movies now, and I've gone sad.
Sorry.
It's because he's just a quite nice doctor in this bit. And,
he is. He's also in the Netflix series Camp Cretaceous, which my daughter used to love, and he's like an evil. He's evil in that as well. The first series of Camp Cretaceous happens, I believe. No, it's Jurassic World. No, I'm thinking it. No, forget what I'm saying.
Okay, forgotten it.
But Wu is in it, and he's an evil scientist again.
Yeah,
but he's just there, isn't he? He's just a man working at the park, just doing his job.
That's his job.
And as we said earlier, the velociraptors are back. Baby velociraptor. Mm-hmm. The music tells us that's scary, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Grant tells us that's scary, though, isn't it?
With his eyes.
And next we go to the cage to not see again. We still don't see velociraptor.
No.
We just see what it can do to a fully grown cow.
I was thinking
in a
about the
harness.
expense of putting a harness in there that's just getting wrecked up the whole time.
Yeah.
Tough.
Yeah.
I guess they spared
well,
no
they
expense.
spared no expense.
Not even the bones are left.
No,
There's nothing left.
Nothing left. And we get a bit of Velociraptor exposition from Muldoon. I think.
Yes.
There's a big one.
There was a big one.
When she looks at you.
I thought there's two others.
You can tell she's working
only,
things out.
There's
Yeah.
only a pair, isn't there? In there?
There's three.
There's three. We
There's
bred
three.
8 originally, but when she came over, she took over and killed one of the others.
All but two of the others.
All but two of the others. That's what I thought. And then at the end of the kitchen, I thought there's only two.
Well, there's
One's
two
inside the
freezer.
The one that's eaten Samuel L. Jackson is inside the compound at that point,
Oh, yeah, fair.
It comes back.
and it comes back.
So at the end, there's two that get eaten by the T-Rex, and there's one locked in the freezer. They've locked it
Yeah.
in the freezer. That one's
makes
just.
sense.
I wondered about that one. Do they go back and get it?
It's
'Cause
just
it's worth a lot of money.
It's just in there. That could be the whole jumping off point of a sequel.
Yeah.
We know the one's in the freezer. Let's go and get
Maybe that's the origins of Blue, because it's very cold.
Maybe it's just a whole separate series that we haven't seen yet, and it becomes like an ice cream man.
Yeah.
What happens next in the film?
It was that we realise we have the scene where they go for lunch, which I always like. They first of all, in the scene where the Velociraptors are eating, I really like that John Hammond has a very strange look across at Alan Grant, who looks horrified. Everyone is looking horrified in at the sounds of this cow being destroyed by the Velociraptors,
Yeah.
and John Hammond is just looking across at Alan Grant, and it's a sort of darkly lustful look of like, yeah. That's right. Which is very strange and out of character for him. And then he's very chipper about who's hungry. And you see the Chilean sea bass, and it isn't nice. But then
Chilean sea bass.
Alejandro made it. And then there's the conversation about what he's doing here, which is really interesting, I think. I really enjoy it. That the blood-sucking lawyer is the only one on their side who's like...
That is great.
We could 2,000 a day, 10,000 a day.
This is why I don't
We'll
hate
do a coupon day.
That's why I don't hate Gennaro. Maybe it was earlier on. But he says the only one on my side is a blood-sucking lawyer. And even Gennaro was like,
Thank you. It's great. And we get some really good... The first really good Dr. Ian Malcolm there.
Yeah.
You painted, you
Slapped it on a
Packing it up,
plastic lunch
slapping it
box
up,
and selling it.
selling it. You're
You
selling
can
it.
try and do Ian Malcolm's
You
lines,
can't
and you
do
just
it.
can't do them to
No.
the speed and the cadence that Jeff Goldblum is able to do it.
he's
No.
almost too much, man.
Yeah.
It's very. I mean, I think that we've probably oversaturated with Goldblum at this point. Who were we talking about recently? Oh, Keanu Reeves. And I do feel like similarly, Gen Z has discovered Jeff Goldblum,
Right.
who has been famous since almost the 70s.
Yeah.
And has gone, oh, Jeff Goldblum's quite good, isn't he? So, yeah, we did. Like, we all knew that. But I feel like this is peak. It's difficult to get any more than this. It's strange that he's become like a debonair, svelte man in his 60s now, whereas, and obviously is slightly unhinged. And back then, he's quite a solid guy. He's
Yeah.
a big, hairy, broad, swarthy, handsome, rock star looking mathematician guy.
Yeah.
But again, he's kind of a character with some real, he's got some real kind of edge to him, or he's lent in a really specific direction, but there's enough to it. He's basically right the whole time, and it stops
Yeah.
you from hating him. Like, he's a bit of a sleaze, he's too good looking, and all of these things, but then he's relentlessly just saying, this is fucking a terrible idea, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And he's also not afraid to speak truth to power. And none of them are in his pocket. I like that the scientists are all very principled.
Yes.
This movie's smart, man.
It's
I don't
really
know.
smart.
I think it's going to be a success.
His laugh as well. His laugh. Ow.
Oh, it's great. Courage. It's so good.
He laughs like a cat.
And now the kids are introduced, and it's it feels like a
dangerous.
long. There's such a big part of this movie. It feels
Yeah.
like a long time before we see them, like really long time.
Again, it's smart though, isn't it? Because kids are fucking annoying. So-
Yeah.
and these kids are great and they're well handled. And part of the reason they're not annoying is because of the fact that they come in so late. And I remember as a kid, you do relate more to kids when they're in the once they're in the movie, and the stakes are more obvious, and your place in the world is more obvious. But I just think there's a real smartness to them coming in. 40 minutes into the movie?
Yeah.
It's ages.
At least, and obviously they're just they're a big part. It's not, it's not even. It's just openly talked about of Dr. Alan Grant's character arc.
Yes,
he hates children at the start of the movie.
Yes.
Dr. Sattler, literally, I love that bit where Lex is like, she told me to sit with you because it would be good for you.
Yeah.
and
just following him around the car.
And Sattler's just like grinning into her hand at the awkwardness of it. But I mean, that's literally, that's it. These kids are going to soften Grant, and it's not like a clever little character arc I've spotted. It's literally just the film just tells you again and again.
But it's, in a way, it's putting the two most obvious reactive elements together. Man who doesn't like kids is going to be stuck with kids in dangerous situation. But the way that it's played out is really good. It's just really good. It could be terrible in a different film, and the tiny moments that they use to sell it. I think the fact that it happens through the consequences of the T-Rex scene, and it's ultimately, Gennaro's there to say this is what a scumbag would do, and then even Malcolm's incredibly brave at that point, and so's Grant, and then that puts them into just spiraling in different directions. But even before that, when they get out I think you've told me this before, Dave, just as a note, one of your favourite bits is when Lex just grabs his hand.
Yeah.
And holds his hand and just looks really pleased about it.
Yes.
Kids are just like so naturally, affectionate, close to people they like.
Yeah.
And he's like, what?
It's so good.
It is great. And their kids they're so well cast.
Which car are you planning on riding into? Whichever one you are.
Yeah, it's the only answer. It's like, damn. But he still manages to get away. I like how he shuts Tim in the car as he's complaining about his book. I like this little thing as well. Like, he didn't really like your book. I read it. Didn't make any sense. It's a bit later when he's saying like, I read this other guy's book, Backer, and it's like 3 times the size of your book.
Robert Backer's a real dinosaur writer.
Really?
I owned a book by Robert Backer called Raptor Red.
Oh.
Which was...
Is it READ?
Yes.
Red?
No, sorry, red.
Right.
Red is in the colour,
right.
Which my dad bought for me at a car boot sale because I love Jurassic Park. He's like, I found another dinosaur book for you. I never finished it because it was quite bad.
Right. Is it in a fiction? Like
I
not
think
a,
it was fiction, yeah.
Right.
And it's like, I think this is going to be another Jurassic Park for you here.
Yeah.
But yeah, Robert Backer, real dinosaur writer.
Yes. And we're off into the park through the gates. It feels like those gates are incredibly iconic for barely being in the movie or having any relevance to the movie whatsoever, really, apart from what you got in there, King Kong.
That's a great line.
And
obviously sets up
dinosaurs.
Well, but it's about the cinematic lineage of what they're about to do, which is why they're so fucking big as well.
Yeah.
And the fact that The Lost World is the sequel, which is obviously the name of an old creature movie.
I think we might have our first We Spared No Expense as well. When
I think that might be in the caravan right at the beginning. It's really early.
Is it?
I clocked it because you say it all the time.
It took me a long time. It took me loads of watches of Jurassic Park to realise that he says it all the time. It's a little catchphrase.
Yeah.
And then just love it. Like, there's a sad one later on when they're talking about the ice cream.
My God, yeah.
Spared no expense.
Well, as you said, the irony being, which again I only really put together now, is that they did. And the sparing the expenses is what undoes them. And they spared a very small expense on.
Well, I mean, that was Rob's thought, and I hadn't thought about that before. And I suppose really that does go back to Hammond's disillusionment often. Like he really thinks that they did spare no expense, but here is an area where he did spare an expense, and it lets down the whole thing. But he still believes like we did everything. We did absolutely everything. It's like, well, you didn't do everything.
No,
because you hired this cheap scumbag to be in charge of the whole
so
park.
Difficult to get the right contractors,
man. Because as a kid, I thought it was the storm that made everything go wrong.
Right.
The storm's taken out the power, but it's not. No. The park would have been fine if it wasn't for just the fact that Dennis Nedry's a scumbag.
Yeah.
He's the one who turns everything off.
Yeah.
Then they have to do a whole turn everything off and turn it on again, and that's what turns off the raptor fences. You get that amazing line, even Nedry knew not to mess with the raptor fences.
There's a great line.
Muldoon, it's like, even Nedry, big scumbag Nedry, knows not to turn off the flipping velociraptor
That's
fences.
how bad they are.
Yeah.
He turned off the T-Rex fence.
That's like even Gandalf's afraid to go into Moria.
Yeah,
even Nedry knows not to turn off the flipping velociraptor fences.
Yes, exactly. So no dinosaurs on the tour. I love Malcolm there to the camera. Are there,
I really hate that man.
it's so good.
It's fantastic.
So good. Just Hammond just in the control room tapping the different cameras. Everyone's looking bored. No one's seen a dinosaur yet. And then we get the scene with the Triceratops. Which,
but that does remind me as well. Like, I think you do get safaris or like a whale tour or whatever.
I've been on plenty of whale tours where I've seen a seal.
do you say that to the captain?
You plan on having a whales on your whale watching trip?
I really hate that man.
So good.
Well, I went on one whale watching trip once where the people running it were like, okay, we've got a Mars bar here for the first person to spot a whale. And we were like 3 hours into this trip. We'd seen nothing. And
Were you hungry?
This woman was going around. I think she was like trying to entertain people by showing them some like bones and fossils of various creatures that lived in it. She came upstairs on the top deck to where I was standing with this little box. She's like, "Do you know what I've got in here?" It's like, "Is it my Mars bar?" It's just like, no, I'm afraid not.
Damn.
Yeah, I think we saw a couple of dolphins on that trip. Anyway,
Dolphins are good.
Dolphins are great. Yeah.
But and yeah, the Triceratops, which I think is I feel like the Triceratops. They even say it in this movie. I think Grant says it was like his favorite
When he was
dinosaur as a kid.
yeah.
I feel like just as a kid, everyone loves Triceratops.
Yeah.
Before predating Jurassic Park, I feel like everyone loves
This
Triceratops.
is what this movie does so well. It captures the magic of loving dinosaurs when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Like the excitement of digging up a dinosaur skeleton. That skeleton at the beginning is ridiculously just beautifully laid out and well preserved. Like you don't dig up skeletons like that. But as a kid, I was like, oh my God, holy shit. Imagine being an archaeologist and just like digging up an entire dinosaur skeleton. My
Absolutely
God.
incredible. To find
It does have a sense of not just like how interesting and mysterious they are as kids, but also that sense of that they weren't particularly like the movement of technology and the fact that it says that these the processes of digging and archaeology are going to be out of date soon makes you realize, it kind of gets back to the fact that finding fucking bones of giant monsters that we didn't know existed until 100 years ago or whatever is just wild. What a crazy fucking thing to have done, and what a specific period of time it was while we were actually still like digging them out of the ground.
Dinosaurs, every time I actually think about it properly, like they were they weren't just things that been made up for films.
Yeah.
No.
Actually were here.
Walking
around.
What blows my mind is when you go and see like those early exhibitions, is like when you hear about the first people who started finding them, they're like, I found this really fucking big head. I have no idea what this, and everyone's like, you've made that head up. This is a real head that I found.
Yeah. Wasn't the first one found in Dorset, the Jurassic Coast?
Oh, the Jurassic Coast is amazing for fossils and stuff.
Yeah.
They found a huge one fairly within the last few years.
After all,
Like
it's called the Jurassic Coast.
Yes. The cliffs there are so soft that every time a lot of rain happens, part of it erodes and falls away.
Yeah.
And every time that happens, they find something amazing.
Yeah.
They go to Charmouth Beach, which is near Lyme Regis, and they've got this amazing like visitor centre with a museum of all of the things that have washed up there. There's this big, I think it's a Mosasaurus skull, which I think a whole David Attenborough show was made on it a few years ago. It's amazing.
I grew up very near to the Jurassic Coast, and that is what we would do every time we visited. Welcome to the Jurassic Coast. You can do it now too. But the Triceratops, just the actual model is incredible.
Yeah, it's great.
And it has to be. Like this is just, they want this to be this big tactile moment. Obviously, particularly Grant and Sattler, want to touch a dinosaur. They've been touching dinosaur bones or fossils for, their whole careers. They've seen dinosaurs now, a little distance away. But this, I guess they touched the Velociraptor baby, but this is a full grown, massive dinosaur. And I love Dr. Grant lying on the belly of the Triceratops as it's breathing.
Yeah.
Sattler, playing with that little kind of blister it has on its tongue. Its little its sore, tranquilized eyes.
But Laura Dern's performance here is great. Like she's just in tears.
She actually cries.
Absolutely in tears with how amazing this is.
Yeah.
So
It really sells it. That line is so powerful. Yeah, and he said like this was my favorite when I was a kid, and like you said, this person who's been obviously passionate about his craft and whatever, but just quite anti-children, and it just reveals this different side of him and what the park could mean. It is powerful.
Yeah. I love that scene. I very much enjoy the scene, and a big pile of shit as well.
A big pile of shit. But also, I guess, like a really great sign, or like the fact that it's physical and that they've made a model, and not just this movie is blending uses of CG and uses of physical effects, but how it does it and how reined in the whole thing is. We don't really see, until the end, we don't really see that many dinosaurs for that long. When it's not waving it around in your face.
No.
I don't know. It's just very, very smart. And I'm not sure that I'd really clocked the difference between which bits were physical and which were not before. So,
do we? I feel a bit stupid actually, but they make there's a big deal about why are the dinosaurs ill? What are they doing? The mystery of it.
They're eating
What's wrong with it?
something that
Are they eating these berries? In the Dr. Harding, who's the man who is there, is like, no, we know they're poisonous, but the animals don't eat them. And I've read Jurassic Park as well, which is why I might be getting confused, because I felt like this mystery is solved within the film. But watching it last night, I can't remember what the solution is.
no, I don't know.
Do you know, Rob?
Sorry, what was the question? I was just distractedly writing a message. We might have to cut this bit out. We're going to overrun, so I'm just writing a message on Slack that we're overrunning a bit.
Okay. What's the time code?
The time is 1:17, a little bit before 1:17.
I put
1:16.
16:50. I said that I feel a little bit stupid. I've read the book, so I might be getting confused with the book, but do they solve the mystery of why the animals are getting sick in the movie? Because I can't remember it.
No, I don't think so. Not that I remember.
No, I don't think so either, but that's a bit of a strange choice, isn't it? Because
I'm going to look it up.
But we've all watched it last night, or
Well, they
and-
definitely don't. They definitely don't solve the mystery of why the Triceratops is ill. I thought the implication was just been eating the bad berries.
I think that is, but I can't remember that.
That is it. I mean, it's a question that people ask a lot on the internet, but apparently that is just the answer. It's been eating those berries thinking that they're stones that it needs to help the...
But she doesn't find them in the poo. That's the whole point. Is she goes, there's only one way to find out, and she puts her hands in the big pile of poo and goes, no, it's not that. Because then she's like, what is it then? Every
Apparently
6 weeks.
They don't solve it in the film.
Well, I always thought that the implication was that despite the fact that they've perfectly cloned these dinosaurs, there is just they are, you get the whole, we've been separated from these creatures by 65 million years of evolution. You can't just bring them back and expect them to be able to adapt to what Earth is like now. And they're not suited to the climate of Earth.
No, I
the
get
fauna,
that.
the flora.
I get that. I just think there's the scene where she literally puts her hand in dino dung to confirm whether they've been eating it or not. And I thought the result was, no, they've not been eating it because that I can't find it. And then the mystery remains. And it's just interesting that it's not solved in the movie because it just feels like quite a big bit. I suppose they need an ill dinosaur to... But it could just be anything. They could have just tranked the Triceratops for some other reason.
It left me just with a sense of being a bit sad. It always has. This scene, I don't know why it's sick or whether it's going to be okay.
No, so I don't know whether there was a scene or a line or something that gets cut later on that kind of might have sewn it all together, but it doesn't happen, which is a little bit of a shame.
Yeah, fuck Jurassic Park.
I know, it's a terrible movie. But it's about to get really good because we've done all the kind of gubbins now. All the legwork of the movie is done.
The roller coaster is at the top.
It is very much at the top, and ahead of us, everything is set for the disaster part of the movie. There's a storm coming. Nedry is about to
Isn't
put
he
his
already
plan into
dead?
action.
He's dead immediately.
Nedry?
No, this is where he starts to go. He goes when the storm comes in because he sees he's at the East Dock and the guy who's got to meet on the boat is like, we got to go, man. The storm's coming in.
Yeah, there's so much water.
You got 15 minutes to get down here. He's like, you got to give me 20 minutes. He's like, no promises. And then he immediately he's like, shit, I've got to get down there now.
Yeah. And I love the way he delivers his lines now. I love how, because he's been so self-assured.
Yeah.
Dickhead up down, isn't he? Just like, ugh. I love it. Like when he's having his argument with Hammond. Thanks, Dad.
Have you ever
or whatever.
Have you ever seen Seinfeld?
Yeah,
and
of
because his character, that is his character. He's like horrible, bullying, smarmy, and then as soon as he's put under any pressure, he's like, ooh.
Yeah, he's so good at it.
It's brilliant.
This predates Seinfeld, right?
No,
it doesn't.
I think Seinfeld was like late 80s and then into the 90s.
The only reason I said that is because I seem to remember that Spielberg saw Wayne Knight in a play. And that's where he cast him from.
He doesn't watch television.
Or maybe, I guess, like I said, it went to pre-production in '89. So yeah, I guess who knows? But anyway, I love the way he's flustered. You can see he's sweating. You can hear he's breathless.
Oh God, whoever is in charge of applying sweat to cat, because Muldoon has that amazing sweat later on where he's hunting the Velociraptor.
Yeah,
it's the best film sweat you ever see.
Yeah,
just on his brow. But yeah, Wayne Knight here just. Anyone want a soda? By the way, I debugged a couple of the systems, so I debugged the files, and then they'll probably go on enough for about 15 minutes. It's nothing to worry about it.
So good. I don't know. Yeah, just go away. It's so good, and the plan is in action, and obviously we're back at the T-Rex paddock when the power dies, and
where did the vehicle stop?
It doesn't answer that question.
No.
We go back.
We just cut back there.
We just cut back, which is interesting because I really wanted the reaction actually to it being said where they stopped. But we cut back, and the little setup of the goat from earlier. What's going to happen to the goat? It's going to eat the goat.
My God.
It's like the T-Rex is switched on. It's like, all right, I'm going to fucking kill it.
It's one of those films, isn't it, where just everything works. Everything is planted beautifully. There's nothing wasted.
Yeah.
And it just... Oh, why can't all films... I guess it's really just hard, isn't it, to make a film this good?
I think so.
And it makes me think, like, sometimes you just have an idea for a film or a story or whatever that's just so brilliant that you just... The actual what we're going to put in this film bit just sort of like it's there for you, really.
Yeah.
And you just have to find the right way to execute it.
For me, it's like understanding... So I've never tried to write a screenplay, and I'm sure if I did, it wouldn't be very good. But understanding... having spoken to people who do write them, that there is a craft to the lean that you put on different characters to put them all in tension with each other, or to have a group dynamic work. And I think this is why over the last kind of 30 years or so in Hollywood, you get like screenwriting manuals which tell you that there's a formula to it. And I'm sure that there isn't. I mean, I'm instinctively sort of skeptical about things which are just formulaic, but there is something about, like we've said earlier, obviously tension informs and conflict is seen as kind of story in a lot of senses, because that's how you resolve situations and move on to the next one. But tension doesn't have to just be butting heads against each other. But there is something so... I think that there is just a craft, like I said, to the way that this film, whether it's coming from Spielberg or not, ultimately, like his hand is like guiding the whole thing, but touches like just that shot in it's dark, where the goat was, the emptiness of the screen, the timing of it, what it's telling you. I think you can put that level of detail and quality into almost any film, but when you have a film, it's almost like we were talking about The Matrix. It's got all these other elements in it which are just, there's so much energy and potential there because of the ideas that it's smashing together. And here you've got these characters which are really, really well drawn. I'm not inherently excited about scientists who are really serious about their jobs, but this makes those characters interesting and sets them into they're in this space, like this narrative space, helping us to tell the story, and none of them are doing anything which is blinkered or stupid or annoying. I don't know, there's just like I think when I talk about like elevated genre movies, I'm not sure that we've seen a better one. Maybe Aliens, yeah. It's just so fucking good.
Well, because it is this scene, I think, is incredible. I was thinking about this whole thing about this is a huge success as a film, in part because it really does appeal to children. And we talked about our own experiences of maybe going, my parents had to go and check. My parents said yes. Rob's parents said no. It's like this scene is terrifying, like really terrifying. That reveal of, where's the goat? The goat's gone. The bloody leg just drops on the glass.
Yeah.
You also hear the goat. When the cars first stop, you just hear meh in the background.
Right.
You hear it for a while, and then all of a sudden you don't hear it.
You don't hear it anymore.
No one notices it.
Yeah.
The goat stopped making its noise.
And it's so smart that there are two cars that can't communicate.
Yeah.
The first car has realised the goat's gone. There's a bloody leg on our on our car. Obviously, Gennaro just gets out of there. He left us. The second car is not aware yet of what is going on, and it's so smart as a piece of writing, I suppose, and then filming to have that lack of communication between the two cars, and to have the kind of adults, well, it is actually the adults because Gennaro's gone, the adults in this situation who are perhaps best equipped to deal with it, sort of being onlookers to the horror. They are watching the horror as much as we are.
There is that bit where Grant checks in their car, because then he goes back to his car and Ian Malcolm's like, did you ask if the kids are okay? He's like,
I love this bit.
No. Why not? Well, kids get scared. I didn't. Oh, they're fine. I didn't say I was scared. I didn't say you were scared.
Yeah, it's so good because he's asked about Dr. Sattler at that point.
Yeah,
as well. Like they're at their most tense, I think, between the two of them, where it's like they're just rubbing each other up the wrong way, and suddenly these onlookers to this horror, and it is horrible. That the first time the T-Rex. First of all, I love the reveal of the T-Rex. You see it gulping down the remains of the goat. It's crunchy and horrible, and this thing is massive, and then smashing its head into the glass roof of the car is so like...
Well, it's plexiglass, which saves them.
It's
does.
Just
like this annoying thing that I've never seen this before. What the fuck is this?
But then I think and this is the sort of what I was talking about, that give and take. I think they do this a lot in the movie. They break the tension with cutting back to the car and it's steamed up. And Dr. Malcolm has to rub the steam off the windscreen to see what's going on. You know, he's like, that's a funny thing. That's a funny thing to put in the middle of a really like life and death perilous horror scene.
Do you know what you kind of talking about the tension between Malcolm and Grant as well is probably much more obvious if you're looking at the story overall and the screenplay and how it's written than it is when you're watching the film, maybe because we're so familiar with it. But obviously they're rivals, right? And they're set up as like they're two sort of men in their 30s or 40s, like actionable age, and also like sexual lead age. So like there's that love rivalry as well. And he is a little bit intimidated by him. Grant is a little bit intimidated by him. And then this is the moment which they both act well. Like I said, they're both quite heroic. But this is the moment, I guess until this point, you could conceivably see Malcolm being like the action hero of the film.
Yeah.
And what happens instead is that he is sort of, he's on a table from this point onwards. And that leaves the space open for Grant to then go. And then that enables his arc in terms of like, not hating the kids, which I guess when you look at it is like quite kind of moving pieces around, but it doesn't feel like that in the film.
It's so good. I've sort
great.
of run out of things to say about this scene other than just like, man, it's just great.
It's so artfully put together.
You got Alan Grant's expert heroism where he knows exactly what he's doing with the flare, and then Ian Malcolm's, you know, we've seen what Ian Malcolm is good at. By this point of the film, and now we're seeing what Alan Grant is good at. He's the dinosaur expert. His time to shine. He does it beautifully with the flare. Throws it off. Malcolm tries his best, but fucks it up.
And do you know, I really love when you talk about the two cars. One thing I thought was done with tons of economy was in the car. I think you hear Grant say, "Turn that light off." And then he goes into the car, and Tim, who's read the books, is like, "Turn that light off," immediately. And you just like, you just go like, that is a smart kid, and you understand the dynamics of how their relationship works. And the only thing that pissed me off was how long it took them to turn the fucking light off. It's like just a fuck it, and they're like arguing over it. It's just a torch. Turn it off. Turn it off.
Yeah.
Great for tension though. And it's almost, when you think of a scene that's been parodied this many times and is like the ultimate, the signature like set piece and sequence of this is almost like beyond why would we even talk about it. It's just it's so good. It's almost like those smaller things, the character things, are the things which I would notice now. I'm almost ignoring the thing which at the time was just so full of tension, and like what an incredible sort of novel visual way of getting that across.
I love the T-Rex character in this. Like he's all the rest of the Jurassic Park, the dinosaurs are just a bit evil and bad. This T-Rex reminds me a lot of my dog. There's like a puppiness to it. It's like it's not seen a car before. Tim shuts the car door. Oh, it just looks at the car door like that. It's just like my dog looking at a spider. My dog loves spiders. Spider crawls across the floor. My dog, whoa. What's that? and sort of noses it a bit, and that kills the spider because And my dog's like, oh. Just the way it quizzically tilts its head at Gennaro when he's on the toilet. So, what are you?
Yeah.
I'll put you in my mouth and see what you are. And then just shakes it around. It's just an animal trying to figure out what the fuck all of this is that it's seeing for the first time. A car? What the hell? A light? Oh, it's just, it's having a fun, confusing time. The T-Rex
ripping the tires off the car.
This is fun. The tires. Oh, this moves if I touch it with my head. It's a realistic animal. It's not just a mindless monster trying to kill people.
Yeah.
It's a big clumsy thing trying to learn stuff. Like there's no, and it is the most realistic. Well, I don't know what a realistic T-Rex is, but it feels like a real animal to me, as opposed to just a mindless movie monster, which they have become.
There is that thing, actually, when you talk about realistic, that runs through the whole film, which in a way adds to how compelling it is. But because we don't know what dinosaurs were like, whether they had feathers, whether they had scales, how they behaved.
They had feathers,
but then
we know that now.
Isn't it just funny that there's a point at which Grant is like, oh, they do move in herds. It's kind of like, and as a kid I was like, oh, I guess they move in herds. Cool, whereas obviously they don't really, but they need to get across the sense of how wild it would be to be able to see something like that proved by the recreation of life.
Yeah.
You have to play it out, but then obviously you're putting into the world very powerful misinformation.
Yeah.
But I guess that's fine.
I think the last thing about this scene to mention is just the incredible craft, considering this had never been done before, really. I think actually the incredible craft of mixing computer-generated images with physical models is so well done, and you almost can't tell when they're going from one to the next, and certainly at the time, I mean, it was unbelievable. Like it was just, you couldn't think of this scene as being anything other than a real dinosaur. But it's just so clever. There's a scene I did notice last night when the T-Rex comes over and is sort of nuzzling Grant's car, and he's saying like, "Don't move." Their vision's based on movement, and you see the big puppet head knock the car, and then the light goes on in the other car, its head moves out of shot, and then a CG dinosaur runs over there. Just that interaction between the two is so good, and then obviously you get one just sells the other. That's the thing, is you get the movement of the CG dinosaur really sells it. Then you'll get a close-up of the big head, eye by the glass, the pupil contracting at the light from the torch. It's just so good.
I'm not sure that we've gone much further than this in terms of how special effects help to tell stories. And I think that it's worth, I guess, mentioned this before, but there was open questions during this period of time when you go to the cinema, whether special effects would be good or bad. And now I'm not really sure that that's a question. Sometimes they're better in some films than others, or they're a bit bland, but basically, like, everyone's phone can do filters which are better than special effects in Hollywood movies at this point. And especially the history of creature films. And there's like this whole area of like fiasco, and like productions which have got all this ambition, and it isn't really until they try and pull it together that they realize that it's not going to work. And it's funny because you've got like the original King Kong, which is a kind of a brilliant success, and has horrible creature effects, not just King Kong himself, but like giant worms and all other, like, some really gruesome, interesting stuff that Peter Jackson obviously like built his early career on. And then close to this, so in the mid-70s, again, we talk about Dino De Laurentiis in June, made like a version of King Kong, and he like talked up, hey, the technology's here now, we're going to build a giant animatronic Kong. It's going to be basically real. It's going to move. You're not going to believe it. Obviously, they built a giant fucking ape statue that barely moved. And in the movie, it's just a guy in a suit jumping around on like model buildings. It's awful. And even in June, you've got like the worms are not really particularly convincing. And that's 9 years before Jurassic Park. King Kong's 15 years. So you're talking about like movies like Inception. That's how long ago the gap was, like in living memory from us now. And then suddenly you've got the capability of doing this. And Spielberg had been through the making Jaws, where his promised effect was just incapable of delivering the kind of sophistication that he needed.
Yeah.
And a lot of that movie was then about not showing what would make it unbelievable to audiences.
Yeah.
And probably shaped the film in the way that it currently exists. And you kind of talk about the practical head moving away and then the digital dinosaur, and obviously the planning that shot, and then understanding what one is good for and what another is good for. And you wouldn't, unless you knew that you were dividing between the two, you wouldn't necessarily have the dinosaur move that way.
Yeah.
And so it's informing your whole kind of design and blocking and like movement within the scene, and then the style of the scene. And I don't know, as things have eased up, as technology has gotten better and better in terms of the CG technology, there's something really grounded and limiting about needing to make scenes like that. And the more I remember, like, really specifically watching the end of Black Panther, and it's just like two guys quite small on the screen in midair punching each other. Neither of them are real.
Yeah.
And just thinking, what the fuck am I watching? This
Yeah.
is like, it's not connected to anything. This is awful. And obviously there are now still very good special effects, but when it's not tethered to anything, and I guess that's it, like it tethers it to the Jeep has really moved. There's a real actor in there. It's lit in a particular way. There's a real head. It's moved away. And then there's like an extra element, which is helping us to believe things which couldn't possibly be true. So I don't know if this is like, you know, I would make a case that this is one of the high watermarks of limitations and storytelling around.
And that's the crazy thing is it's also one of the first, in a way, you know, like there's really been very little CG before this, like The Abyss and Terminator, I think we talked about, you know, that and that's very, very different look. You know, it's that they're very unreal materials, the sort of gloopy,
lots of
shiny
liquid.
stuff.
The blood,
the
obviously,
camera's not moving very much. Like the camera's moving in this all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible. And it's like, yeah, it's one of the first, if not the first sort of example of it. And it's so good. And it's still, like you say, the high watermark of this kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, and if not the believability of the effects, then how compelling the story being told is.
Yeah.
And how little it breaks us out of the world.
Yeah.
It's good, isn't it?
It's pretty good.
It's great. Just think, you know, it is right at the dawn of computer animation. Like 2 years after this, we have Toy Story,
right,
which you would argue is the film that catapulted CG animated movies into the mainstream.
Yeah.
Made Pixar what it is. You know, what a time.
I remember it well.
What a time.
I remember it well. What's the next scene? We should hurry. We're so nearly out of time.
We
We
are.
are very much out of time.
Well, basically, obviously, the car is knocked over. Grant is now separated from Malcolm. Malcolm's been knocked out in the
has.
detritus of the toilet. Gennaro is ripped in half.
I think this was Gennaro. I think this was too.
And we get Grant having to look after the kids for the first time. And again, there's just lots of like tension then with laughs. And they're good at this. Their relationship is just fantastic. Maybe it's a fault with the film that actually Grant is so good at being a kind of father figure that it doesn't really work that he didn't like kids before.
Tim gets burnt to bits on the fence, to be fair. Just get off the goddamn fence.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I've watched this film many times and I'm pretty sure he could just go through the fence. He's quite small.
I noticed that last night. So there are some big gaps there.
They tried to show that he can't.
Yeah.
They're like, could we maybe... no, I can't go through it, so you can't either, tiny child.
But it's perfect because that's exactly what children are like.
Yeah.
You're like, you have to do this thing, otherwise you'll die. No, I don't want to do the thing.
Yeah.
It's perfect. So frustrating.
It is good. There's loads of good comedy with the whole tree and the car. And, you know, we're back in the car again. I hate trees, and like you went in the last one. It's just really good. That when in the peril of the T-Rex is knocking the car over the edge of the cliff, and they're trying to reach for the other wire to get safe.
Yes.
Lex is like choking him out.
That's so video game.
Yeah, it is. But
Use
before
your
video
momentum
games,
to swing to grab.
maybe video games are so.
Where
Jurassic Park.
do those ropes come from?
They're the. I thought about his poor hands. They're the cables that the
cars run along.
That were part of the fence keeping
No.
They're like metal.
Oh, I thought it was a pulley system, but yeah, you're probably right. It's probably the fence.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, what, like from the car?
So at this point, are they going into the Rex paddock?
I find the geography of this a little bit confusing because
Yeah.
it's very high.
Yeah.
But
And I haven't seen any height
No.
on this bit of the road until now.
No. But I think they are. They're in the T-Rex paddock. Yeah, that's the fence that has been destroyed, and that's where they go
makes sense.
into. And obviously, there's some nice scenes with the Brachiosaurus and a very good little character bit where Dr. Grant is sat on his Velociraptor claw.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yes.
what is that? Annoying. What is that? Oh. Just throws it away because it's meaningless now. It's kind of meaningless. We've got Velociraptors now. I don't need
I
this.
can get a new one later.
Yes,
A fresh one.
exactly. Get a new one later, and it's gone. And I really enjoy the control room scenes during all of this. Now the cast has become condensed.
We've forgotten Nedry. Nedry's dead by this point.
Is Nedry dead by this point?
I think so. It was happening around at this time, isn't it? Like
yeah, I suppose it is. It's before the safety of the tree. It's raining.
They just get rid of him. Like
Yeah.
he's like a bit of a shuttle. As soon as he's not necessary to the plot, they don't mess around. There's no interaction with the captain. There's no missing the ship. There's none of
No,
so he's just dead.
just dead.
It's a
and
horrible death as
It's
well.
horrible. And as a kid, I always was confused by, he drops his canister of embryos,
Yeah.
and it falls into the water, and all the mud sloshes all over it.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I was like, "Oh my god, it's like the embryos leaking into the mud. Is that how all the dinosaurs are breeding now?" It's just a little visual storytelling device to tell you Nedry is gone. He's done for.
I think if you wanted to get really wanky, you could probably say something about, the dinosaurs being buried back into the earth as well, sort of from whence they came. But I really like it because it's like even at that point he's still alive.
Yeah.
It's like even if he survives and he gets in his car and he has his moment of, it's like the game is up. Like
Yeah, for him.
the park's gone to shit and the embryos are lost. He's not getting his money. It's like it's all over for him. He's just had a terrible, terrible time. I think that like Wayne Knight's just so good. The flippy flop from nice dinosaur to you're not so tough.
But also,
no wonder
I'm
you went
going to kill
extinct.
you when I come back down.
Yeah,
That's
is such a good line, and I think that we
What
can
a
all
dick.
relate to. I always enjoy that. Again, just incredible bit of filmmaking that they go past the Dilophosaurus enclosure at the start, and Richard Kiley is telling you about the Dilophosaurus, which you don't see then and you do see now, and I don't know if you've heard, but he's doing his little spiel like, on the right you'll see the Dilophosaurus,
Right.
and it just explains its beautiful frills, and it explains that
No,
we now
I've
know
never
the Dilophosaurus spits poison into the eyes of its
Wow.
victims, causing paralysis. It sort of says something like a horrible way to die or something like it's
A beautiful but deadly addition to Jurassic
to
Park.
Jurassic Park, just to let us know exactly how horrible
I missed that last night even.
exactly
Damn.
how horrible Nedry's death is going to be.
That
Like
is
he's
unpleasant.
going to be paralyzed in that car whilst he's slowly eaten by little frilly dinosaurs.
So we're going to have to get through the rest of the movie in 10 minutes.
It's probably not going to be able to eat all of him either, is it? That
We'll save him
Dilophosaurus.
for a
No.
bit.
He'll probably eat, a quarter of him.
Yeah.
Maybe not even that. The Dilophosaurus is quite small.
Yeah.
Maybe there are loads of others who'll come and help him out.
Maybe.
It's almost impossible to do the rest of the movie in 10 minutes, but we'll try. There's a now in the control room, they've realised Nedry's not coming back. They've realised that everything's gone bad and that the kids and the other doctors are out there. And I like Hammond's line to Muldoon. Perhaps you'd be so kind as to take a gas-powered jeep.
Robert, I don't suppose you'd be good enough to take a gas-powered jeep and bring back my grandchildren.
So good, so understated.
Yeah.
And we get Sattler and Muldoon piecing together what's happened. They can see that Grant and the kids are still alive, which I guess is very important for them in terms of the rest of the film in what they're doing. They're not trying to escape themselves, that they need this hope. There's the fantastic bit. We didn't mention the water My God, we didn't mention the water with the impact tremors. We can mention it now.
I did. Yeah, we were talking about. Well, I didn't mention it out loud.
I just think
it
needs bigger. It needs its own bit. It's just such a good thing, and it actually almost. It's almost too much that it comes back again here in a way. It's like such a specific, special thing, but. I guess at this point we know what it means. Maybe we didn't completely understand what it was then the first time we watched this movie. Now we know when Malcolm's laid out on the Jeep and he sees in the footprint of the T-Rex the puddle shake.
I wonder if that's a motif from a different film beforehand, because otherwise it is as much as like Glitch in the Matrix or Red Pill, Blue Pill. You know, if I see a rumble and a tremor in a glass of water, I'm thinking immediately like this is a monster movie of some kind, and there's a monster coming.
100%. There's the really great shot of the mirror. Objects in the mirror may appear may appear further away or something. I can't remember which way around it is. It's so good. And we've actually, the three of us have visited that road where they shot that bit.
Have we?
Do you remember?
No.
You've forgotten. Do you remember?
The Warner Brothers tour.
The Warner Brothers lot, yeah. They made a big point of it. That Universal borrowed, they just needed a road with some trees at night, and they asked Warner Brothers if they could use it. It's a very short bit of road. They had to film it loads and loads of times because the car would run out of road immediately, getting away from the Tyrannosaurus Rex. But yeah, it was in the Warner Brothers tour. The three of us visited it together.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've forgotten that.
We've been there. And again, really good horror bit. Screams. I think that Laura Dern's scream is very good. She's got a good scream.
I agree.
Lex has got a good scream as well.
Very large scream.
And now we get another important scene. The next morning, Grant and the kids finding the
eggs.
Yeah. Malcolm was right. Life found a way.
Has found a way.
And it's
the explanation's nonsense, isn't it? They probably just changed sex, didn't they, because of frogs?
Is it nonsense?
Don't know. Well, it is literally made up.
Frogs do that.
Frogs do that,
sure.
yes. But it's a good way to, I think, explain it in the film.
And I guess it's not the only way that it might have happened. It's just the way that they're saying, this could have been what happened.
In the book, this bit's really good. They're like, there's pages and pages and pages from what I remember where they're looking at computer data of how many animals should be in the park and how many animals are actually in the park. And the first time anyone notices anything is that they've got one more Procompsognathus or compies than they should have. It's like, we've got an extra compy. Yeah. It's probably gone wrong. Let me just check again. And then they keep checking, and then just more dinosaurs keep appearing. It's like all of a sudden, all of the dinosaurs have hatched. We've got another T-Rex. We've got more velociraptors. Oh my God. It's a great bit of the book. You just see this graph just growing and growing and growing. Brilliant.
It's cool.
The book is really good and well worth reading because it isn't just this movie.
I agree.
It's probably only about 20% this movie, and there's stuff that will be borrowed in other movies later
There's
on.
loads of
other Jurassic Park.
I'm
Apparently
excited
in the new one that they're making, they are making another one with Scarlett Johansson is in it.
Really?
I've seen the trailer for it, yeah. Apparently they borrow a scene from the first Jurassic Park book that hasn't been in any of the movies yet. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think there's a lot there. It's good stuff. And yes, we have the scene with it's all culminating in this moment with turning the power back on. We've got to talk about the Muldoon scene with the velociraptors.
It's great, and he's got a respect for how he goes out. Mm-hmm. It's just a great end for that character.
Just the shot where they're just tracking along the fence, the way the music just sours as you see it's been bitten through, and Muldoon's realization that they're both probably fucked now.
Well, Sattler's rightly so immediately sort of terrified.
Yeah,
and he's so calm and just like, no. Like, I love it. I love her run.
Yeah,
is exactly what you would do. Like, just so terrified.
Yeah.
And that also that she's not actually being chased by anything. You know, it's all in her head. Well, it's not all in her head. They are real dinosaurs that will kill her. But I mean, I quite like that she's so terrified. But at that moment of nothing in particular, just the idea of them is so scary that she's just gone for it. I've realised last night on my watch that I'd never thought about this before, but with Muldoon, you're told right at the start how he's going to die. Like with the
you'll see one in front.
I just never really added that up, and was all even when he's slowly putting together love the way he puts together his
that
shotgun.
gun is amazing.
Takes off his hat, puts it on the thing.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And the Velociraptor stood there like, I'm just here, stood in a tree, just looking around. I'm fine.
Yes.
It's. I think every time I watch it, I have a little bit of hope for him that maybe this time he'll be able to,
It's a shame.
And then we get the line.
But he loves it.
Clever girl.
He's like, he's a respectful. He's a
can
hunter.
imagine him there just being like, oh, well done. You've done so well.
I'm proud of you.
This is how I'd want to go.
And it's quite visual, his death. You can't. It's really well done. Again, like hidden
loads
by
of
the
leaves
trees.
come up very quickly.
Yes, but you can see that his head is getting eaten by this Velociraptor. He's being stood on, and his head is getting eaten. Malcolm gets to a little bit of maybe a small amount of kind of stock here by leading Sattler to the right place. He gets to come good again, I guess, after, like you said, he spends the rest of it on a bed, but he is doing bits and pieces and helping.
I think that he's injured in the line of duty, but I don't think he's got anything to make up.
He's still an important part.
He's done something heroic. That's why he's been injured.
It is a bit foolish throwing the flare. It does smack a little bit of just like, yeah, I could be a hero too.
It is, but he's thinking about the kids.
He's thinking about the kids.
He's getting the T-Rex away from the kids. It's sacrificial.
And I've really loved the tension of those two scenes. Sattler with the fuse box and the kids on the fence and all the ways they're trying to get it down. And you can see the camera move. It's so good where it just tells you everything you need to know. It's like she started at the top. But the camera just goes ahead. We're looking for perimeter fence. When she gets to perimeter fence, that's where they are. They're on the perimeter fence. Could be bad.
It is good.
It's really, really excellent. And there's just it's breathless because Tim is shocked into the field and needs resuscitating, which is literally breathless, but might maybe pause the tension because it's like the bad things happened. Like, and we're just going to see, is he going to live? But we're cutting back to Sattler. This is horrible. The Velociraptor here. This is properly horror, I think.
It's the first time we
comes
see it.
through the tubes, the pipes, tries to eat her. Arnold's arm. That's just a cheap shot, but I love it.
Good.
Mr. Arnold.
Oh, thank God, Mr. Arnold.
Gets him. And then she's just fighting with it through some wire. And it is the first time we kind of really see a Velociraptor at this point.
Poor old Mr. Arnold.
I mean, it's weird. I think... this is the thing. I think this is how Spielberg kind of makes it for kids, not the arm, but even Tim is blasted off, he's resuscitated, and he finishes with a joke. He says, 3. It's weird how there's these moments, and there's always seems to be a little bit of levity at the end. Not always, actually. We're coming up to kind of the Velociraptor kitchen.
The Arnold arm, wild to think that when I watched this as a kid, this was the gap between this and Indiana Jones was millennia, right? Because I'd grown up in that period from the age of 0 to whatever I was, 12, when I was watching Jurassic Park. But it is obviously Spielberg and not actually that far apart. And it really reminds me of the bit with the tunnel with the spiders and the closing door right at the beginning of the movie. You throw me the whip, I'll throw the idol. And the levity there is just his little grin, and then he slips back down again.
Yeah.
He's very good at pacing. I don't want people to be shocked by our podcast.
Yeah, that's Spielberg. He'll do well.
He's going places.
He'll do well. I
always like the thought that the Velociraptor was there, and this is how intelligent they are. They're like,
pop the arm.
Someone's coming.
Yeah.
What will be good is if, when she comes to this bit, drop the arm on her. Do you not finish the arm? No, I don't like arms. Face and chest was nice. Anyway, we can use this though. It'll be a good bit.
They've rigged up like a pulley system. Yeah. The three of them,
we laugh together. But by the time we get to Jurassic Park 3, they're nearly doing that.
Yes, that's true. And then there's
clever Velociraptors.
Then there's Jurassic World, and we're in a whole different world at this point. But there's a scene that we kind of glossed over very quickly that I wanted to go back and mention just because I really like it, which is I think it's the night time, but back at the bunker with John Hammond eating the ice cream and telling us about his flea circus.
Yeah.
I just really like that little moment with him and Ellie. And it just felt, I don't know, she just kind of explains what's going on. He's still he still can't see the wood for the trees. He still thinks this is all going to work out all right. His grandkids are lost in the middle of a dinosaur park being hunted by T-Rex and maybe velociraptors. The scientists have all agree this is nonsense. People are literally dead. His lawyer has been torn in half and he's still like, next time. I love that, do it
though.
better.
It's almost like a bit of character motivation has just spilled onto the page. Like I can imagine Attenborough being like, I think this chap might have had a flea circus in his youth. Can I do a scene, Stephen? Can I do a scene about the?
That does seem very believable. And we get the saddest. I spared no expense.
Yeah.
With the lovely ice cream,
But also,
it's melting.
I mean, how it's not really gone that wrong. The only thing that's gone wrong is Dennis Nedry. That's the only thing that's gone wrong.
Yeah, but it's a domino effect.
The lawyer's dead.
Yeah.
Who cares about the lawyer,
No
really?
big deal.
No one cares about the lawyer. Who else
He's
is
probably
dead?
got good lawyers, though.
Muldoon's still alive by this point.
Yeah.
I mean, barring the Muldoon death, which was unfortunate, you could easily just, surely there's like rangers with tranquilizer guns. Just go out, tranquilize it, put it back in the pen, repair the fences, hire a better IT guy. The park's still good to go, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. Well, you sound like someone who works at InGen. I think we're strolling into
How many flea circuses did you have?
future Jurassic Parks. I also think there's just something very inherently sad about ice cream melting. In that way, it is sad. They had this wonderful food, and it's just there melting.
It's another
and he's
beautiful.
sort of I don't want it to go to waste.
Another thing that Dennis Nedry's mucked up.
It is.
Just all the power's gone out, so the freezers aren't working, and all the ice cream's melted.
It's a bloody metaphor, is what it is.
It is. Even Nedry knew not to mess with the freezers. Except he didn't. He did mess with the freezers.
And Ellie says, despite the fact it's melted, it's still good.
It is.
And that's how Rob feels about the park.
Exactly.
That's because he spared no expense. But we're back in the chronology of the film, and it's everything's coming together at a rate of knots now because the grandkids and Grant are back. He drops them off at that table, actually, at the banquet where they discover there's cheesecake and things, which looks amazing, and goes and finds Sattler, who is quite broken and pleased to see him. And this next scene in the kitchen is surely one of the most iconic scenes of all time.
It's the one that's stuck in my memory the most. I've got this really vivid memory of it's near the end of this sequence. Probably other things we want to talk about first, but where the Velociraptor, it's that shot from within the hole in the ceiling.
Yeah.
And the Velociraptor kind of jumps up.
Yeah.
And I remember really distinctly that just getting my brother. I remember him jumping in his significantly in his chair, and it must have been really unusual because I've remembered it forever since. It was just suddenly this scene from out of like a completely different movie is just dropped in.
Yeah, it's so tense, this bit. The kids are on their own for the kitchen, which I think is
like the great bit when it starts, and quite often we've got the trick of you realising something bad is about to happen or is going to happen based on someone's reaction. Yeah. But we see it double here. We see Tim's reaction to Lex looking terrified, and then we see Lex looking terrified, and then we see
with some jelly on a spoon,
some shaky jelly. It's so good. And then, of course, that brilliant shot where it's like the lovely mural of the Velociraptor.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect image, and then the reality,
the shadow
lurking just behind it. It's so the noise they make. My God, it's terrifying.
Yeah,
that little snort they do.
Yeah,
as they just walk around.
You also then have the interplay where they're in the control room. They say to Sattler, like, "And you're sure the third one is contained?" And she's like, unless they know how to open doors. And then we cut to Scratchy Claw opening the kitchen door. And this is when we properly see velociraptors. We see full body everything of a velociraptor, and they're really mobile again with the computer graphics now. Like, they're agile, they're scary.
I'm going to mention King Kong again because I do think this is the kind of moment in the movie. The T-Rex is pretty much there, that scene, but this really is stuff that you just couldn't have done believably really, up until this point. And you think about the stuff we saw in Alien and Aliens, brilliant films, essentially a man in a suit when it comes to it, who's being shot really carefully. Alien 3 was the same year as this.
Yeah.
So, and that's a
crazy.
big pile of shit.
Yeah.
Let's stress that again. It's terrible. So, like, to be able to show, and I guess the tease is always, I want to see it, I want to see it. And as an audience, you probably don't really want to see it because it demystifies it. But this is still done fantastically well. It's giving you all sides of the dinosaur.
There's that great shot again. So many iconic shots where it just looks through the round portal of the door.
Yeah.
And you see its nose come up, and then it turns its head to look in.
Yeah.
So there's like, just again, someone's got a velociraptor head on a stick.
Yeah.
Someone's got a velociraptor's claw hand on a stick. And then we cut to full-bodied CGI velociraptor
all
that comes
built
inside.
Trick, you believe it. You just believe it. And that scene plays out in my head. Like, I can see it beat for beat. And again, there's like very little dialogue. Everything's just physical. They're just trying to hide from these velociraptors.
Yeah.
It's so scary. The spoon falling when he's pressed up against the end of that counter, giving away their position. They have to scramble.
Yeah.
Lex getting into the cooker.
To me, that mirror shot, it gets me now. I always forget.
Yeah.
It's a real cheat, that shot.
It is a
but
cheat.
It's very
No
good.
way that works, but I don't care. It's so good.
Forgetting like the feet, the velociraptor's feet, where they just tap their claws on the floor.
What
Just
a
like,
terrifying little detail.
just like
to throw in.
someone just being like,
Yeah, just
at
tapping their fingers on the
tapping
desk.
their fingers. I wonder what I shall do today. What's in, just a velociraptor? It's never seen a kitchen before, presumably.
Yeah.
And its reaction is to be like, well, I wonder what there is to eat in here.
Yeah, I can smell humans. And they're both taken care of just in time to hook back up with Grant and Sattler. Then they're locked in the control room. And this is Lex's moment. It's kind of been building. We haven't mentioned Tim's been sort of jibing at her a few times throughout the movie for being like in her room on her computer. I'm a hacker. And and she gets her moment.
You can just tell again, it's 1993, because there's already been a use of the word hacker because Samuel L. Jackson is tired of all this hacker shit.
Yeah.
Or he hates this hacker shit.
Yeah.
I do like
Hacker
that.
just means, in this instance, someone who can use a computer.
Yeah,
Computer
MS
guy.
Word.
And she
and stuff.
manages to hack through 3 or 4 layers of folders.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's like she's
By
an
clicking on
explorer.
them. The
It's like,
slowest.
I'm doing it.
My God.
This is this is another thing I say all the time. This is the Unix system. I know this. I love saying that at a computer. Little insight into my mind. She locks the doors. They get into the roof, as Nath said, kick away the ladder, which always makes me laugh, like the velociraptors are going to use the ladder to get up there, but then they've opened
they can
doors.
use
So,
doors.
yeah.
Unless they find out how to use ladders.
How to
And then
climb
just
ladders.
the next shot. Oh, just that horrible, creepy note of music.
Close up of claws on rungs that go up. There's that bit just before
They
that.
figure out how to use the toilet. Oh, just loads of domestic things a velociraptor can do.
There's a little stylish thing they do right before that where you see the light from above the vent, like casting shadows on the velociraptor, and it's DNA code.
I've never quite understood that shot.
I don't think
never
it
quite understood
I
the
don't think it
logistics
has
of
a.
it.
Yeah, I don't. That's why I said stylized. I think because I don't think it really means or does anything whatsoever. It's just. It's a bit beyond me. Like it doesn't really work in the scene. Physically, I don't think it works.
No.
Like, have they made the vents out of DNA code for some reason? Someone was, we spared no expense. We made vents look
Really
like
spared
DNA
no
code.
I really think we should hire a more capable IT. No, I want the holes in the fence to be like DNA code.
Well, the light will shine. Why are there lights up there? There's lights up there to shine through, and it will cast nice shadows. And the final scene, really, out on the skeleton of the T-Rex fighting, trying to escape from the velociraptors. The 2 remaining velociraptors are back.
Yeah, one's just dead in a freezer, presumably.
Yeah. And obviously this is just like a big metaphor, I guess, them climbing all over this actual skeleton or fossil of a dinosaur with real dinosaurs. The T-Rex comes and saves the day. And it's weird to me, like Jurassic Park fans have a real fondness for the T-Rex that I just kind of don't. Like, oh, it comes good in the end. It's like, I don't think the T-Rex is thinking like that.
T-Rex is having a great day.
Yeah,
just a great
really
day. Just,
I ate this guy.
Yeah.
Gallimimus is over here.
Yeah.
I'll eat one of those.
Got one of them.
And then just got one of them.
Yeah.
Where else can I go? Oh, some movement over here that I can see in the control room. What's moving over here?
Interesting. And the whole, I love that they have their cake and eat it by at the final shot with the T-Rex letting out its giant roar as that flag or like ribbon
That
falls.
banner, yeah.
I can't remember what it says. Like
When dinosaurs rule the earth.
Yeah.
Too good.
It's pretty good, that.
Too good. And the end of the film wraps up so quick from here. It always surprised me as a kid. It feels like you need more. It does feel like you need a bit more sort of. Or I always felt
Are we
like
going
I
to have
needed.
an inquest?
I need like a.
What's going to happen?
I need like. Is this a happy ending? It's sort of like just relief.
Yeah.
All there is relief. To be on
Yeah.
that helicopter must be amazing.
Will be interesting to see what Jaws does when we do that for our bonus app.
Yeah.
Similar vibes. Maybe
Yeah.
it's just
Well, this was back in the era where films were like, when they've reached the end, they finished, didn't they?
Yeah.
Whereas now, there's always got to
What
be
happened
something
to all
else.
the 18 characters?
There's always got to be something else.
Where are they now?
Little post-credit scene with something, if this was made now by Marvel, I hate Marvel films,
been getting that
there'd be
vibe.
just a little scene afterwards, wouldn't there, of just a computer screen or something just turning on. Bloop. Something. Or just
we've got
one
to go
more
back.
Velociraptor. Or like one more member of staff going in and like
It will
opening the freezer and letting
it'll be the
Velociraptor out.
Velociraptor. Yeah, figuring out how to open the freezer.
Yeah.
That's what we'll see. The little pin drop out from the lock. That would be enough. That'd be.
There's still
It's
one
still
more
there.
left.
I assume you would defend all of the endings to Return of the King, though.
Yeah. Well, that's the ending.
Well, yeah.
I was going to say he's dodged you there. He saw your
That's
trick.
the ending.
Right.
There's only one ending,
And here-
the Return of the King.
It's just
The
very
events
long.
of the film finish and the film ends.
Sure.
Interesting idea, Peter.
So
Jackson.
once they've chucked the ring into the mountain, it's
Yeah,
about
the
now.
film
It's
ends.
No,
about-
but that isn't the end of the film. There's the events of the film are Aragorn then gets crowned as king,
Yeah,
and they
I
go
know-
back
I
to
know
the
what
Shire,
happens.
and Sam marries Rosie, and then Frodo has to leave to the Grey Havens with Galadriel and Elrond and Gandalf and all the other ring bearers.
I know
Yes,
what happened.
but yeah,
I'm
that
just
could happen
saying.
in Jurassic Park, couldn't it?
That could have been the post-credit scene. Them just going off on the.
No, because
You're going with Mr. Frodo. Oh no.
No, it's different somehow. It's different. I just want to say that the real class. We know we already touched on this, but I do think it's really classy that the end of the film is just the shot of the birds. No one says anything.
No.
Is it Grant who looks out and looks at the birds, and it just leaves it to you to either think they're pterodactyls, and you're like, oh my god, the pterodactyls are escaping. This is terrible.
all the children thought that.
Definitely, that's what I thought.
Pterodactyls,
I
yeah.
was like, oh my god, they're going to get to the mainland. Dinosaurs are escaping. Or it's just like, and dinosaurs became birds. The circle is complete, kind of, it all ties up nicely. I just think it's really, really great
And they were flying, and we've become birds.
in a way.
That's probably what they were thinking.
In the helicopter, you mean?
Would you like some box office information?
I would. I'm imagining big things.
Lots of things.
I've got some. So Jurassic Park was released on the 11th of June 1993. I'm not sure when it came to the UK, but shortly afterwards, certainly during the summer. Box office, I've written down simply big. It
Yeah.
was big. It's been re-released since a couple of times, which has just nudged it over the $1 billion mark.
Wow.
It was released in 3D.
Was it?
Yeah, and he said he always kind of had 3D in the back of his mind.
Oh,
sure
yeah.
you did, Stephen.
Yeah.
Although that shot of the Velociraptor jumping up in the kitchen vent.
Yeah, that would be scary. Don't let your brother watch that.
Maybe he did. So it was breaking records all over. It made 50 million in its first weekend, 100 million in a record 9 days. I mean, obviously, all of this is, if you adjust for inflation, these aren't
Yeah.
records at all. And Janet Maslin described it as a true movie milestone. Actually, all the critics were quite sniffy. They seemed to be kind
Really?
of begrudging. Look, this is brilliant, but... So, for example, Peter Travers in Rolling Stone called it colossal entertainment, the eye-popping, mind-bending, kick-out-the-jams thrill ride of summer and perhaps the year. Compared with the dinos, the characters are dry bones.
What?
Yeah, I know. And then similarly, Roger Ebert gave it 3 stars out of 4. Said
Fun.
Basically, said it was great, but he said it was lacking awe and wonderment and strong human story values, which I just think is bullshit.
Yeah.
Just incorrect, isn't
Yeah.
it?
It is the things which have made it. No one's looking at those special effects now and going, "Oh my god, wow!"
Yeah.
We're all watching it because the characters are fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, Malcolm has become like a super meme.
Yes.
These things don't happen unless there are strong human story values.
No.
Mr. Rebirth.
No.
So-
As good as the effects
It's hard
are.
to realise, though, isn't it, in the present day?
What is the job of a critic, though? Isn't
Yeah,
it? Like
that's true.
to try and
Sometimes they get it wrong, though, don't they?
they do. They do. They've just calling it as they see it.
Like when Man City bought De Bruyne for 55 million, and all the Sky Sports critics were like, "That's terrible.
It's
He's
exactly
not a very
like
good
that.
player." And now look,
Now look at them.
yeah,
That's true. Thanks for that, football, Rob.
that's all right.
always got an analogy.
Yeah,
football analogy.
So we're going to do the top 10 box office movies in the year that this was released in 1993.
I'm looking forward to this.
I believe this is worldwide. So can you tell me what number one is?
Was it not Jurassic Park?
I haven't said anything.
Jurassic Park.
I would
yeah,
have thought
of
Jurassic
course
Park.
it's Jurassic
Okay, good.
Park. We made $1 billion.
Yeah.
Number two, please. You won't get this, I should imagine. It's got Robin Williams in it. I'll tell you that much.
Okay. Mrs.
And-
Doubtfire?
Yes. I was going to say also
I love
doing
Mrs. Doubtfire, by the way.
Dodgy Scottish accents in the number 1 and 2.
Doubtfire.
Mrs.
Doubtfire, dear.
That's 441 million. So less than half of what Jurassic Park
Yeah.
made.
But also very low special effects budget for Mrs. Doubtfire.
Jurassic Park was only 63 million.
What, to make?
To make, yeah. Just
My
shows
God.
you what you can't move.
Well, when you think about it, the what have they actually got in terms of
What they actually got?
in
It's
terms
spent
of
no expense.
locations? They got the control room,
Yeah.
an
Hawaii.
island. But there's not like a huge cast, is there? It's like they're
A huge cast. It's quite a big cast.
It's all
I don't
just
think so. You
computers.
compare
There's
it
no
to-
stars. I think that makes it.
Yeah,
it's
no
like,
stars.
It's 15 million or whatever that's not on your bottom line.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Number 3 then.
Mm.
Guess is for a Harrison Ford movie.
Oh, The
from
Fugitive.
1993. Yeah,
Oh,
correct.
that's one of my favourite movies.
Number
Of 1993.
number
I love The Fugitive.
4.
This is a great year for me. Like, I love all these movies you've said so far.
there's 7 more to come.
You may wish you hadn't said that ahead of number 4, which is another Steven Spielberg movie,
Schindler's List.
Schindler's List.
His next one. He did 2 in the same year.
Yeah, less
back
of a
to
good
bank.
Less of a good
Back to
hang.
back, not back to bank.
Yeah, and that
to
was
the bank.
That was released November, December the same year. So you had a summer movie and a winter movie.
Yes.
it's fair to say.
And I think he went on to Saving Private Ryan from there.
Quite soon.
Sort of
I thought it was 95. Maybe it was 94.
yeah, but did he have a movie in 94? Probably did.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I
don't
think,
know.
his kind of next big release after Schindler's List. It's just to,
Do you know what else he was doing at this time?
darker
Launching his own studio.
Right.
DreamWorks. And
Not bad.
Busy guy.
yeah, not bad.
What did I do in 1995? Not much, some homework.
Yeah.
Number 5, these are getting less guessable, so I'm just going to say it's The Firm,
Okay.
the Tom Cruise, John Grisham thriller. Number 6 is Indecent Proposal, which is the kind of film it's very hard to get your head around as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, someone wants to sleep with that old man, and then it's
Yeah.
actually, like, oh, that old man wants to sleep. But all of culture was like, because obviously he's still, what is he, 50?
Is it Michael Douglas?
No, it's Robert Redford.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone was like, because they'd grown up watching, it's like someone talking about Brad Pitt now, or
Yeah, right.
probably 10 years ago. It's like,
Yeah.
I would pay to have sex with Brad Pitt. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So, number 7 was a Sylvester Stallone movie.
Is it? Oh, is it the police? Time police? What's the police one?
Copland. No, that's 90.
The Demolition Man.
No.
Oh. Is it a Rambo?
No, even later. No.
A Rocky?
No, it's a unique one-off.
Oh.
Is it Stop or My Mum Will Shoot?
No, that's from the 80s. It's a Cliffhanger.
Oh, yeah,
of course.
Cliffhanger. The opening to Cliffhanger
I've never seen.
scarred me as a child.
Never seen Cliffhanger.
Well, maybe we should
Wow.
watch it. We should do a Stallone season. I've never seen any Rocky movie. I know.
One of them is good.
Yeah.
Number 8, Sleepless in Seattle.
Yeah.
Number 9 is Philadelphia. And
2 Tom Hanks movies.
number 10 is The Pelican Brief, another John Grisham film.
Yeah, it's Julia Roberts, right?
Is
Yeah.
it Denzel Washington as well? in
Can't
Pelican
remember.
Brief?
That is, I don't know. That
pretty good use.
list fills me with warmth and nostalgia mostly. It just makes me think of being a child and my parents getting all those VHSs and
The video store.
good stuff.
So the original the original novel, Jurassic Park, was released in 1990. There was much pressure for a sequel, especially once Jurassic Park had made over $900 million at the box office. And I love this. Michael Crichton had never made a sequel to one of his novels before, but after it had made $900 million in March 1994, he said, I have an idea.
It's the freezer. It's a velociraptor. I left a velociraptor in the freezer.
Does he have an idea though, or is it just
I could make some more money? I think
another island and
It's
there's some
another
dinosaurs on
$900
it?
million. It was almost written 1 year later, and then it was in production a year after that. So it's quite a quick process. Considering along the way Spielberg was talking about the fact that DreamWorks was being launched. So DreamWorks is a studio that he made with David Geffen, who'd made loads of money in music, I think, and Jeffrey Katzenberg, who had been the original executive on the Star Trek movies at Paramount.
I remember the name.
Through Paramount. That was it. It was in production. It got made. That's the end of my story.
It sure did get made.
Lost World.
Yes.
Jurassic Park. Not Jurassic Park 2. The novel was called Lost World, which is also the name of an old movie, innit? The Lost World.
I don't know.
Dinosaurs and that.
Yeah. Just works.
I remember having both those novels. Just beautiful covers. Absolutely just my favourite 2 books ever.
Really?
At that time, yes.
Right, I was going to say, what?
I especially loved it because there were loads of swear words in. And
I've forgotten how young
No
you
one
were
can
at this
stop
point.
me from reading these.
and at
I'm
school,
going to read it again. Piss.
at school we used to have we'd have reading time after lunch, and during reading time, one child would be chosen to go up front and read out loud a bit of their book.
It's more like listening time.
And I
What, so you just get bits of everyone's books?
yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
But I remember going up there
I'm going to read a swear
with Jurassic Park, reading a swear word, and everyone in the class be like, ho, 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 ho,
Yeah.
ho, ho. It's in the book, miss.
Can't be cross,
It's in the
miss.
book.
It's in the book.
It's in the book.
I've underlined it 8
Yeah.
times.
Well, I used to make a point of just, nudging my friend next to me whenever I came across a swear word.
Yeah.
Shit,
Yeah.
said someone. Just having a little giggle. I shouldn't have
Yeah.
been reading it probably. I was about 10 at the time.
Yeah. Well, you couldn't watch the movie.
Well, I'd seen the movie by then.
Oh, okay. Fair
It
enough.
was only age 7 that I wasn't allowed.
What's next on our podcasting adventure, Dave?
Well, we obviously have The Lost World
We
coming
do.
up next
That's
Monday.
it.
That will be our next big episode, our Monday episode. And I'm looking forward to it. I feel that there'll be lots to talk about, especially given...
I think I've only seen this once at the cinema.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, I should tell you as well. I'm almost certain I went to see this in where they do the darts, Lakeside in
Yeah.
Thurrock, very close to where I grew up. And I went there with my friends Ian Sword, Tim Lee, and as we were buying,
Was that 3 people or was that one
yeah,
person?
Ian Sword and Tim Lee. Yeah.
Oh, right.
And
Ian Sword. What a name.
I know. And as we were buying our tickets, a mum was going with 2 young kids, and she was carrying one of the kids, and the other kid just ran to try and catch up with her. She'd gone through like these doors, but the doors made of glass, and this kid
no.
just ran straight into the doors.
Oh.
And my friends both erupted into laughter, and the mum was furious with them. This isn't funny. But it was funny.
Yeah, you
It
can't
was.
tell someone what's funny and what's
That
not.
child was hurt.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Oh, God.
No, the kid was right.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, I think some people will be hurt in Jurassic Park: The Lost World, which we'll be watching next Monday. Before that, if you're a Patreon member of our Commander tier, we salute you. We will be watching and talking about this Wednesday Westworld. Michael Crichton, he wrote it. He also directed it.
Bloody did.
And that's why we thought it was appropriate to watch it. I think when's it from? 1973?
It
Yes.
is. And it's also about a theme park that goes wrong.
It is. He does have other ideas,
Yes.
but not so much this time around.
He's paid no expense.
So if you're a Patreon member, you will be getting that on Wednesday. If you're not a Patreon member, you could sign up and you could listen on Wednesday too, as well as to all the other bonus episodes we've done on this crazy, wild journey, of which there are loads.
That's
I
the number.
can't think of any, but there are loads. So maybe consider doing that. But that's about it. We should wrap up. Get ready. Go and get your copies of The Lost World ready. And we will see you next Monday.
You've been listening to Redshirt Cinema Club. If you're enjoying the podcast, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Just check the link in the description. We'd also love to hear from you. Email us at redshirtcinemaclub@gmail.com or follow us on social media. We'll be back with another episode next Monday. See you then.